to QuakeCon!
Today, we are so happy to be here with y'all.
QuakeCon, how we doing?
I'm just here to play. Oh my God, I didn't save it.
I swear you did.
I did, I pressed this thing. You know, we get asked a lot about, are you ever going to do mods again? Yeah.
There's 18 levels, you have a lot to go.
Back in the day, they were crazy.
QuakeCon 2024! Woo woo woo! Yeah!
Welcome back to QuakeCon 2024. It's day 2, even though it's really one long party here at the BYOC. Now we've got more live streams, tournaments, giveaways, and just more coming your way, so stay tuned. On day 1, we kicked things off with LineCon, got to hear the latest updates on Bethesda titles during the kickoff, met with volunteers, and just generally had a blast. We're just getting started, and day 2 will kick off Fan Rows. We'll be meeting our partners, including Dallas Pets Alive, who are here at QuakeCon in support of finding homes for animals in the North Texas area. If you're at the show, come say hi and meet some of their animals. And if you're tuning in online, we'll be sure to bring you a segment from the Cat Cafe so you can see what's happening. Now, one of my favorite things to see here are the gaming communities coming together and the fun here at QuakeCon. We bring you now to a look at our fan rows from the Elder Scrolls Online, Starfield, Fallout, and Doom, and all the fans coming together to share their favorite franchises and make memories together.
Hello, I'm Jessica Finster, Senior Community Director at Bethesda, and I am here at QuakeCon 2024 in the Fallout fan row in the BYOC. And who better to talk about Fallout and fans than these two fine folks who I will let introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Wrecker Renee, Fallout 76 content creator.
I'm Ken from Chat of Fallout 76 podcast and the founder of the Fallout for Hope charity initiative.
And I am very excited to say that I know that this is their very first QuakeCon. So Renee, what is QuakeCon like so far? The days are early, so you still have a lot more to experience, but
It's definitely awesome seeing all the custom PCs and seeing the hype everybody has because it's such a great community.
Yeah, agreed. The PCs, what people design here is just amazing. Meeting everybody has been amazing. The energy here. I finally got to meet my friend Renee. It's been awesome.
and I happen to know that you made friends with the Doomslayer a little bit ago as well. So thank you to Ken and Renee. I'm going to hand it over to my friend Jason at the Doom Fan Row.
Hey guys, Jason Levy from Bethesda here, and we are at the Doom Fan Row at QuakeCon, here to talk to some fans. Hey there, how you doing?
Hey, doing great.
So introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what made you come out to QuakeCon.
Hey, I'm Mike. My handle is GameCraft, and I do 3D printing art and things like that. We came from Jacksonville, Florida, because the QuakeCon is it's so massive. There's like 3,000 people here with all computers, and it's just a great time.
So you've been a Doom fan, I assume, for a very long time to want to create all these cool things?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I've been playing Doom since Shareware, and since I started doing modeling and papercraft, I moved into 3D printing, and I've kind of just been doing 3D printing ever since.
We got to take a look at your latest 3D print, Doom the Dark Ages. Can we take a look at this? Tell us about it.
So with the Dark Ages coming out soon, I kind of put together a diorama here of one of the shots that they showed in the trailer, and this is what I came up with.
It's pretty epic. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go to Jess at the Starfield Fan Row.
Hi, Jess Finster, back again, and today I am joined by...
Adam.
And where are you joining us from, Adam?
I'm from Seattle.
Awesome, love Seattle. We are in the Starfield Fan Row, and I wanted to ask you, Adam, what is it that you enjoy about Starfield?
I really like the shipbuilding mechanics. I have a good time kind of taking the pieces apart and putting it back together.
I do love seeing all the ships that everybody builds. And what is your favorite part about QuakeCon?
I just really love seeing all the people here and seeing all the games people are playing. It's just a lot of fun for a couple of days.
Is this your first QuakeCon?
No, I was here last year also.
Very awesome. Well, thanks for coming back to us. And we are going to hear next from Amy on the ESO Fan Row.
My name is Amy Schleter, and I am Senior Community Manager for ESO. I'm here at the Elder Scrolls Online Fan Row, and we are talking to one of our attendees. Hi there, can you tell me what your name is? Brittany. Brittany, welcome to QuakeCon in the BYOC. Where did you travel in from?
Colorado Springs.
Wow, that is a long way to come. Well, welcome. And how many years have you been coming to QuakeCon and the BYOC?
Since 2018.
Wow, awesome. And I saw that you have our fan row bag from last year, so welcome back to the ESO fan row. And can you tell me, what is it that you love about QuakeCon and the BYOC?
Killing all my friends and hearing their screams across the entire row. Quake champions.
Awesome, I love that. And what's your favorite zone in ESO?
Somerset.
Wonderful. I think that's a lovely choice. One of my favorites as well. Well, thank you so much for talking to us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time. And we have a lot of activities planned for our fan row. Later on, we'll be having some giveaways for our attendees. People will have a chance to win prizes from Asus, NVIDIA, Noble Chairs, and we'll even be giving away an Alienware R16 desktop to one lucky attendee in our fan row. A little bit ago, I had a chance to catch up with Dallas Pets Alive, and let's go over and see what they had to say. I'm here today with Vivian, Kyle, and Gina. Vivian, you're with Dallas Pets Alive. Can you tell us a little bit about DPA itself, what the organization does?
Yeah, of course. So Dallas Pets Alive is a large animal rescue organization in the DFW area. We help save animals from the shelter who are at risk of euthanasia, but we also help families keep their pets in their homes and out of the shelter through our PASS program. We also have an adoption container at a brewery, so be sure to come check us out. But we have over 200 animals in our program, and some of them are going to be here today looking for homes to call their own. So we're going to have a cat cafe and a dog play pen, so be sure to come out and check them out.
Well, I definitely will. I'm super excited to stop by both of those places. Gina, you're with the ESO team. Can you tell me a little bit about how DPA and ESO have been working together this year for QuakeCon?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you are very familiar. ESO is celebrating its 10-year anniversary this year. So when we were presented with the opportunity to collaborate with Dallas Pets Alive this year at QuakeCon, we jumped at the chance to help. So one of the things that Amy and I will be doing to support DPA is a charity stream on Saturday morning on the Bethesda Twitch channel. We're going to have a number of giveaways. We're going to have some really kind of interesting incentives to make sure that we raise as much money as possible for DPA. We also have a number of ESO stream team members that will be streaming through the weekend. We have No Lollygagging, we have Skinny Cheeks, we have 8 Puppies. They'll be streaming live from QuakeCon with dogs and puppies, which is really exciting. We even have Jake, who's one of our voice actors. He will be here live at QuakeCon as well. So we hope that everybody will tune in and raise as much money as we can to support DPA. Now, we also have the really cool shirts. You know, every year at QuakeCon, we have the custom DPA shirts that you can get. Vivian's wearing the Fallout 76 shirt, which is amazing. But I'm a little biased. We have a really cool ESO one this year, too. Da-da-da-da. It's the 10-year anniversary, everyone. So if you are at QuakeCon, you can purchase this shirt here at the convention. Otherwise, you can actually get it online, too. Do you want to tell everyone where they can get it?
Yes. You can also get the shirts online at dallaspetsalive.org. When we first started 10 years ago at the Hilton Anatole, we were just a single booth. 10 years later, we've grown tremendously. All the new activations that we've learned and done through the years between the streaming, the t-shirts, online fundraising, it has absolutely just been a game changer for Dallas Pets Alive and the work that we can do.
Thank you so much, Kyle. And thank you for joining us, Kyle, Vivian, Gina. If you are here at QuakeCon, please be sure to stop by the Dallas Pets Alive booth. If you are not here with us in person, head over to dallaspetsalive.org where you can get one of those great shirts and donate to a really great cause. And thank you for joining us, and have a great QuakeCon.
Coming up, we have multiple live stream panels featuring Hugo Martin playing Doom Multiplayer, a look at some ESO gameplay, and then a peek at the upcoming Fallout 76 Milepost Zero update. We're about to take things to the main stage, but don't go anywhere as we have an exciting day 2 ready for you here at QuakeCon 2024. I'll see you later on.
Are we on? We're on. We're on. Welcome back to day 2.
Day 2, everyone.
Happy QuakeCon.
Happy QuakeCon.
Hope you guys have been having fun meandering. We'll go into the BYOC, gaming, and
all the things.
All the things.
We have something really important to talk about, and that is giveaways. You guys like giveaways?
Who doesn't?
Okay. First of all, if you're watching at home, we've got giveaways for you too, so don't worry. It's not just about everyone here.
No.
But it's about you guys too.
Stay on that screen though, because you're going to have
Yes.
to look for the keyword that we're going to
Yes,
tell
so
you.
if you're watching at home, definitely keep an eye because we have a cool giveaway for you, but we're not going to tell you about it right now, so just watch the stream. But for you guys here, we have actually 3 Fractal PC cases we're giving away.
So you have 3 opportunities to win. All you need to do is write down the code word and your name. That's important because if there's a code word and no name, we won't know who the winner is. So code word and your name. The code word is Fragmaster.
Got
Where
it?
did they enter that?
So you're going to actually put it over here next to the stage. You're going to do that anytime you want. Doesn't have to be now, but until 6 o'clock today. So get that code word in. Cool?
So what do we got today, Jason?
Well, yesterday was an action-packed day. Today is an action-packed day. So up next, we've got the team from id Software with Hugo versus the World multiplayer live stream.
Enjoy, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Oh, LAN party. Oh, thank you. Our partner Red Bull this year is sponsoring a King of the Hill tournament at QuakeCon 2024. They'll have prizes throughout the day and all weekend, but you're going to need to be at the top of your game and probably a little energized to succeed. Let's take a look. Oh, I'm going to...
Around the perimeter of this room, we have a 2v2 tournament. It's called the Terrible Twos tournament. It's going on for Quake Champions, I believe. And at this specific station right here, we have Quake Live and Quake Champions King of the Hill style tournaments going on. So basically, they play the dual game mode, and the King of the Hill aspect of it is whoever wins basically stays there. Whoever loses gets up, rotates out. And so the way that you get prizes and stuff is we do a daily prize and a weekend prize. And so for the daily prize, if you have the highest win streak there, you'll get Red Bull merch for the day. And then if you have the highest weekend streak, you'll get a ticket to F1 Grounds Pass for the Circuit of Americas on October 18th.
That's awesome. Well, listen, if you are here at QuakeCon, come on up, play, and snag these F1 tickets.
Yeah, Josh. Up here? Right.
Yeah, you're right there.
Hello, hi, howdy, konnichiwa. Day 2 of QuakeCon 2024. How y'all doing? All right, we are so happy to be here with y'all today. Again, all legends on stage to celebrate for this one, Doom plus Doom 2 re-release. So Hugo, I'm going to start with you. You kind of showed everybody out there kind of how to play yesterday.
That's right.
Basically gave them a tutorial top to bottom controller, whether it's at a distance or not. We had Marty do tech support. We figured it out. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm looking forward to crushing the competition, and should be good.
Marty, you added another job on top of all your other jobs yesterday with tech support. What's going through your mind right now about what might need to get fixed this stream?
Well, I read Building Computers for Dummies last night just to make sure I'm prepared, and I'm ready. I'm happy to help however I can.
Nice. I love that. Mike Rubitz back again. We just, I feel like every year we do this. It's like us and Night Dive doing another awesome re-release. So how are you feeling on day 2 of QuakeCon?
Well, 1 a.m. last time, like, I'm going to go to bed at a reasonable time. I'm a good little boy. And then I stayed up till 4 a.m. and now I'm very tired. But
I feel like
I'm on this side of the couch now. I'm ready to go.
That's right. Because today, just to give everybody a heads up, it's going to be Hugo versus the world and possibly even Rubitz versus the world. So we're going to maybe do like a hot swap per game. It's going to be deathmatch. It's going to be, we will get into a lobby, we'll pick the map, and then we will do a little countdown to reveal the room code. Anybody in the BYOC, hell, you could even, if you're in the audience right now with the Steam Deck or a Switch and somehow you have a good Wi-Fi connection, I see at least one person that raised their hand, you can get in too. And you actually probably have the best chance because you got
no stream delay.
There's no delay. You're definitely getting in. So go easy on us.
No stream snipers though. Don't be looking up at the screen.
That's right. Yeah. Keep it to just one screen, please. And then last year, Edward, we had you on here when we just did Quake 2 re-release. But tell us a little bit about how you're feeling this QuakeCon and a little bit about what you do at Night Dive before we get into all the nitty-gritty details when we're actually playing.
So at Night Dive Studios, I primarily develop multiplayer, netcode solutions, online systems, stuff like that.
Awesome. And how's this QuakeCon been? Because last year was your first one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How's this one? I see you already got the hat on, so I feel like the party level is already
wicked
like
cool hat. That's right.
Yeah.
He's ready for the BYOC.
It's not as good as Kevin's hat, but
yeah, I was gonna say Kevin's got a good one, but maybe, I see a couple in the audience too. It's good to see. So what's the vibe this year for you in QuakeCon year 2 for you?
Well, I decided to come like a few days early to like get over the jet lag and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of worked. I'm a lot less tired now. I'm more coherent.
That sounds good. Because, yeah, last time, correct me if I'm wrong, you flew in like...
The day before.
Yeah, so I saw you like 10 minutes before we went on stream, and you were just like, I'm fine. That's like a 24-hour flight or something, right?
It was close to that, yeah.
Oof. Well, we are happy to have you here. The party is higher. The coherence is higher. The sleep is more. So welcome back, man. Welcome back. Kevin Cloud, everybody, on stage left, the legend. Again, he might have retired from id Software, but he can never leave because we will figure out a way to bring him back every time. Kevin, how you feeling on day 2 of QuakeCon, brother?
I feel great.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. The vibe of the show has been terrific. I actually spent a little bit of time last night, probably till about maybe 1:30 or 2. I'm old, so that's about as late as I can stay up. Playing a little death match myself.
Ooh.
I know, I think I got above like 4 on the scoreboard.
That's pretty good.
I know,
it wasn't 0, it wasn't negative.
I know, I was pretty proud of myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hell yeah. All right, so today what we're going to do again is we are going to play versus all of you lovely people in the audience, whoever has a portable device that is able to join, or anybody online. But first, we are going to show through a couple things here. So again, as you see on the monitors, hopefully, Doom plus Doom 2 includes so much content. Obviously, all the original releases, plus Master Levels, plus Evolution, plus Plutonia, No Rest for the Living, Sigil, Legacy of Rust, which is the brand new combination, amazing kind of 2-part episode from individuals at id, at Night Dive, and at Machine Games, our buddies in Sweden, who always find time, no matter what stuff they're working on, to do more collab stuff with us, which is just like, it feels good, right?
It's almost like they don't have a game to finish.
And I wonder how much that set them back. They're like,
shout out to Indy.
Yeah, shout out to Indy. That's going to be amazing. And again, biggest thing probably, other than adding the online co-op and deathmatch up to 16 players, which is also wild because, again, when it was launched, I think it was just 4, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
Couple more bodies in there to shoot at, a couple more targets. But the other coolest thing is, again, this supports community-published single-player maps because 30 years of Doom has already been out there and living and thriving in a million different ports. but we wanted a cool way to bring those to folks that maybe are coming in new, or also maybe they just don't want to load up whatever PC mod version to get everything running, but just be on the go on their Switch, on their Steam Deck, and just get it going. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way to get into the community, and before you know it, you'll be making CAC award-winning maps from being inspired.
That's right. You're going to go from 0 to Doom World CACO Award 1 year. It's this year. I feel it for everybody in the audience that's ready. All right. So speaking of amazing things that we have put out for this, again, Doom plus Doom 2, by the way, free for everybody that's had either Doom or Doom 2 on any of the modern platforms that still exist and are still selling games. So you just already probably have it for free, but anybody that wanted a really, really cool set of, because we did it, I think it was like the Slayers collection, but that was when Eternal was out.
Yeah.
So that only went from like Doom 93 to 2016.
2016, this is now definitive.
This is the definitive one. So if we switch slides to look at, thank you, Doom Anthology, that is 5 inches of BFG for your desk. It lights up, it's green, it's got a little stand. It's hard to see, but there's actually a little Doom logo in the middle of the bottom of that stand. And the beauty of this is this is all online right now for sale. You can get it at the Gear Store International in North America here. The cool thing is, though, is our buddies at Xbox that are actually manufacturing this stuff sent me just enough so that not only could we show you what it looks like, which is cool, it obviously looks cooler out of the box on your desk, but we're going to give one of these away for everybody on stream, and we're going to give one of these away at the end of the stream for somebody in the audience. So we're going to have a trivia question at the end, and I wish I had hundreds of them because we would just like BFG cannon them out, but we've got one per stream, so pay attention for the end of the stream for that. Next up, whoops! That's going to happen at the end. It's going to be really good. So we just did a new collab with U2s, and we're super happy about it. Again, the pre-orders for this just went up. But it is classic Doom guy. It's kind of a cool combination of like when you see the skin and the helmet and everything else, it's classic Doom 93, but then it's got the double barrel because again, if we're doing classic stuff, we're doing Doom plus Doom 2, put the best of two worlds together. So that is up right now for available for pre-order, and it's been really cool working with a whole new, because we did so many toys and stuff for Doom Eternal, right?
We did.
And I think your desk is probably just like, there's like no desk left.
Well, it needs that. So I got space for one more.
Okay. All right, nice. Up next, we've got our buddies they are right outside right now. I'm sure you guys have already seen it because I've already seen some stuff sell out up there, but this is the Gear Store, Bethesda Gear Store. There's a ton of cool stuff up there. Daisy, obviously, bottom left, most important thing, must protect Daisy. Again, doesn't have to be game accurate. Could put the body back together or could keep it game accurate. That's up to you. It's got a little magnetic attachment, so easy peasy. And then some Dark Ages stuff. The shirt all the way on the right that is so beautiful, the tarot card one, it's actually full metal. It's real metal, but it's not here because we couldn't get it there in time, but you can right now pre-order it to get it online. So QR code if you're online, want to just scan it easy, or if you're here, I've seen that beautiful CACO. I didn't even know we were doing that second one, the kind of wider face one, but you can't get enough of those.
They're cool.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's up again in the Gear Store outside the hall right now. And this is another, again, we like to stack the cool stuff. So when we're going back to Doom 93 and Doom 2, we got in touch with our buddies at Limited Run Games, and if we switch slides, we will show you there are 2 different editions of Randy Linden's original Super Nintendo release of Doom. And of course, because somehow it's almost the 30th anniversary of that, he went back and did everything he couldn't do before. He added the whole 4th episode, so you've got Die Flesh Consumed in there. It's got circle strafing somehow. There's even a retro bit, like new controller that they're demoing that has rumble.
Yeah, they made a new Super Nintendo controller that rumbles, which was about 15 years too early on that one. I didn't know about that one either. I'm like, what? How?
Yeah, it was a total surprise to me. But he even has a test up there. So if you guys get a chance, go up to the console lounge. Also, Randy is the nicest person you're ever going to meet, so, go talk his ear off. He'll love it.
The actual programmer from the original Super Nintendo Doom is just upstairs hanging out, chatting with people.
Yeah, he's just got
really cool.
He's got 2 analog NTs with 2 of his dev carts with this completely loaded. But the coolest thing is if you switch to the menu with the Rumble one, you can feel how it feels for every single weapon that he has in there. Like the chainsaw is just like, it sounds so silly because we're so used to Rumble with everything now, but playing that and feeling that on a Super Nintendo is wild. I bet, again, that was I'm trying to think what even started. It was like maybe like a Rumble Pack on Nintendo 64 or something.
64 Rumble Pack, the PS1. Yeah, that's about 4 or 5 years after this.
Yeah, it's wild. But these aren't available yet. Keep your eyes on the space on the bottom of the screen, limited run games. Again, the super special one, the collector's one, is going to be limited to how many units? Kevin, what do you think the most appropriate number is down there?
666.
They had to do it to him, so they did. All right, and up next, if you are watching on Steam, if the Steam stream is going either right now or in the future for a rebroadcast of this, if we switch slides, we will show you. Oh, okay. Actually, I forgot a completely huge shout out, which is I'm sure you've seen Andrew Holsholt around. You guys know him. You guys love him. Let's give him a hand. The cool update to what you see on screen is the official soundtrack is actually available now. It is no longer soon. It is on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, and whatever Deezer is. It's on all those things. It's on every single one of those things. Some of them are a mystery to even me, but it's available. So Doom, again, and Doom 2, which was the newness. It was the hotness. We kind of were geeking out on that yesterday.
Yeah.
I feel like you're setting me up something with Deezer. I don't want to respond.
Deezer, we literally love you. You have a heart in your logo. We can't not. So I got to get Deezer now. I'm going to be a Deezer fan by next year.
First time I've ever seen that logo in my life.
Same. But you know
I'm
what?
not even sure that was there yesterday, was it?
I think it was, but we have to look at the videotape. Is that a videotape anymore? Anyway, next but not last, these are, again, exclusive to Steam. So if you're watching this on Steam or the rebroadcast, all of these avatars are just free. I think you watch for like 10 minutes. You'll just see them in your inventory. They'll pop. They're super cool. Super shout out to not only the QuakeCon theme ones, but if you see the bottom three on the bottom right, that's Zaus, who we love, the community fan artist.
Yeah.
Who's here, probably in the audience somewhere. If you are, stand up and get your love. There he is.
Right there.
Yeah. There he is. There's our guy. Love that guy. Love all of his work. So you can see we actually, with the video team, did a little bit of like animated versions. So you've got bar cages and everything down there owned. It'll move. It's free. Watch this for 10 minutes on Steam and you get it. All right. All right. Let's talk about Doom 2 multiplayer. I think we're ready. I think we're ready to talk about Doom 2 multiplayer. So, Kevin, let's actually, should we get it queued up first? Should we do... So yeah, Doom 2, and then let's go to multiplayer. You guys got to get ready in the audience that have your devices because we're going to do the countdown for the room code. So walk them through it.
Yeah, go ahead and hit the menu and go to multiplayer. Yeah. Continue. And online. And let's create a match.
So you want to change?
Yeah. Oh, we got deathmatch. We're not doing no cooperative here. We got to turn those max players up too.
Sorry, what's that?
Got to turn up max players. Crank it all the way up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that bar full.
There we go. There we go. All right. So game mode. Yeah. Like Ruben said, we ain't doing no cooperative here. This isn't for friendship. This is for dominance.
That's right.
So we got deathmatch on that. We're gonna stick with it. Deathmatch Pack 1, and I'm gonna give a shout out to a bunch of people who made a bunch of stuff for that. But let's look at. For the level, let's do, scroll down. Yeah, one up. Yeah. Keep going to the right. Let's do one more. Yeah, let's do Lazarus first. Okay. So talk to us about how we show the code, we do the countdown, and then everybody can join. Walk us through that.
Let's turn down the frag limit to 0 first. What do we want to do, 6 minutes?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Do you want to do 6-minute matches in Tokyo?
What?
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, so let's do frag limit 0, time limit 6.
Got it. Frag limit 0.
So we'll get the lobby started up for a second. There'll be a room code that'll be hidden, and as soon as we hit the button, type it real fast, and if you're in the crowd, go for the stream delay.
So we're going to do a countdown then.
All right, let's count.
All right, so we're going to
hit start right now. You're good to hit that.
Look at that cackle. Look at that spinning boy.
Hopefully it works.
All right. So the code is right there. So if you go up one, we're not going to hit it yet, but if you go up one, that's where we're going to reveal it. So should we do a countdown, everybody? And again, if you're in the audience, if you're online, if you're in the BYOC, get ready, because as soon as this room code comes up and he reveals it, that's your cue to join. We're going to get 15 of you in there to see if you can deal with the best deathmatch player in at least Grapevine, maybe Texas, maybe the world, Hugo Martin. So probably it's already happening. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go, Hugo.
Go ahead
say it. Put it out there.
QMSL.
Dude, how are they already connected?
I don't think we did private.
Whoops. We'll do that next time.
Yeah.
Damn, that filled up fast.
Are we full?
I know
like
some of
16?
these people.
Yeah.
I think I know Buckshot.
I know Zen. Zen's in there. He's a killer.
Oh, man, these
He's a
people
killer.
are all really good.
I told him to go easy on you yesterday if he got in. We'll see if he makes
never
it.
go easy on me.
too.
Yeah, there's crossplay too.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, talk to us about that. So I'm seeing GOG, I'm seeing Steam. What else am I seeing?
So the other icons, well, you have Xbox there, and the other icons could either be PlayStation or Switch.
Nice. So the little world ones are either PlayStation or Switch, right?
Yep.
That's awesome. So we got a little bit of everything potentially right now, right?
Yep.
All right, we ready?
Should we start? You guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get it on. 6 minutes. I like when there's no frag limit. We're just going 6. I like it. All right, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Off to a good start.
That was crap.
Oh, man. It's going to be red. It's going to be the color of the day. Meteor rocket.
I just blinked.
I told Zen, if he's in here, to find you and protect you yesterday, but I don't think he's doing his job right now. Come on, Zen.
So sensitive.
All right, we haven't gotten to frag yet, but we're feeling good. But yeah, how in the world did you make this happen? The cross. It's one thing to get 16 people in one match. How are you doing?
Crossplay.
Yeah.
So the whole system is running on PlayFab.
Okay.
So it's the same thing that we did for Quake 2 last year. And that service doesn't really care where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So everybody's just running the same code all at once.
Oh my goodness.
I only need to write one thing at a time.
Let me pick up a gun.
I just feel like what we should do too is we should go to accessibility and turn off the
red flash. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to give you like a break when you're when you're doing good or bad or anything.
You respawn so quick you don't even realize you're dead sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. But I like how Hugo's now. I'm seeing him utilize the sprint. He's holding down that left trigger. He's getting the speed because you need the speed.
You know, running's a good tactic in deathmatch.
Yeah.
Son of a.
So Kevin, how much was this either what you guys were thinking or just absolutely not what you guys were thinking when you first put this out in '93 as far as what was possible for deathmatch?
I mean, honestly, I can't answer for John and Romero and Carmack what they were thinking about it. Hey, honestly, it came out of the blue.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
How do
we
I
knew we
lower
were
the
doing
mouse
multiplayer because we
sensitivity?
said when we started
Yeah.
we were going to do multiplayer.
Oh, geez.
But,
All right.
you know, I was picturing more just kind of picturing from the perspective of other games I've played, and I just never imagined it being this fast and this smooth.
Yeah.
And this chaotic, for at least from my perspective, it seems incredibly chaotic.
This is pretty chaotic.
I mean, my first experience playing, I guess what you'd call
I have 5 kills. That's right, buddy.
was jumping on board with Adrian and John Romero at the same time.
Yeah.
And Adrian and I would play co-op.
Oh, yeah.
Just a Battle 3, and then John Romero would jump in, and we'd have the monsters still. I mean, we'd fight through the monsters and then fight each other.
Oh, so it was like PvEVP. So you were fighting each other and the monster.
But he was destructive. Yeah, and
were arguments like settled like that in the office, or was that not? Was it just like you already knew who the winners were, so there was
no
need?
argument that needed to be settled there.
Yeah, that's fair.
No.
That's fair.
It looks so good. The game. I mean, the game looks amazing.
Yeah. And shout outs to, I believe this is DX Chain's level. Let me double check. I think it is.
I don't know if anybody's paying attention, but I'm starting to dominate. That's what's happening.
Yeah, we were able to get a whole bunch of community deathmatch mappers and get a deathmatch map in.
I don't play with mouse and keyboard as much because it's too easy. So I think that what you need to do is...
You switch to keyboard and mouse?
Just to, I was going controller to give myself a challenge.
Yeah.
But now I just shot that guy. Let's go kill another person.
You just turned on easy mode.
Nothing feels better than killing young people in multiplayer.
Nice. This is the first time I think we've ever done a stream that you're on keyboard and mouse. This is a special moment.
And they're all like...
That's Nicole.
I mean, you got 9. It's a lot more than negative 9.
Respectable.
Yeah.
It's
and you're feeling out the level, getting where all the weapons are, where the BFG.
God damn it.
The BFG's just utter chaos and 16 players. You could just clear a room.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm glad we don't show KDR, so I don't know how many times I'm going to die here. I prefer not knowing.
True. You definitely don't want to see that in Doom ever. No matter if you even win, your KD is still going to be not great.
It'll still be 1,500.
Oh, I killed 2 people right there. That's gotta suck.
So again, this is Lazarus. Shout outs to, man, we had, let me see if I can pull up the whole
These
list.
people have no respect for their elders. That's what's going on right now.
52 kills.
Yeah.
Gosh, we're going to need to get some information on these accounts.
Should be possible.
I'd like to...
Who was leading, did you see?
I don't catch the name. He's probably just holding down the super shotgun button and hitting every shot.
That's probably true.
How many rockets is that guy going to shoot right there? That was ridiculous.
Too many. The problem is, too, is if you start to understand where the spawns are, you can just camp that and just fire some rockets. Just let the chaos ensue. I like how when you kind of mouse over him, you see the name under there, like right in the middle of your HUD. That's cool.
Yeah, that's Zenero with 60 kills. Of course it is.
Of course it is. Zen is so sweaty. He's a legend. Zen is in the BYOC right now doing this, which is what I would expect. I think he's over by all like the Midnight Gun boys. Jahar in the game. Okay.
Nice.
Dang it.
So the neat thing with a lot of these doubles wins is
I feel like
knock
they're
them
ganging
right off
up on
the
me.
Start of the match because like you don't want to be running around with a pistol. You're
Oh
gonna
my
seconds
God!
anyway.
Let's hear it. 12 kills, very respectable.
71 kills.
Yeah.
Next closest is 35.
He was cheating.
Oh my God.
Did we just call him like Lord Zenero from now on? Is that what we have to do? He's got 71 kills in 6 minutes. That ain't right.
We need to find out. Is that person here? Where are they?
Yeah, he's here.
What is going on? That's unbelievable. I bet you that's like a Quake player. Do you know who that is?
He's actually like one of the classic Doom. Like he's run a bunch of tournaments. Him and King Diamond, the boys, like they get Skull Frag, all the stuff. They've done it for forever. So he's way too comfortable in there. Is the problem?
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, man. That's unbelievable. 71. Is he at QuakeCon right now?
Yeah, he's over. I can't remember what the row is, but yeah, he's just across that wall, smiling from ear to ear right now. Probably.
That's awesome. Well, I hope he feels good about himself.
All right, so are we doing hot seat? You guys want to swap it?
Nice. Come to our convention. Totally humiliate us. Awesome.
Hugo, come join us. Let's give him a hand, everybody. Nice work, buddy.
Hey, I did what I could.
And also, Rubens, let's probably turn off like voice over IP, all that stuff. Okay. And then do the. What's cool too is there's a million accessibility options in here. Kudos to the whole team for putting that together. But one that's actually nice, even if you aren't sensitive to epilepsy, is you can actually turn off all that screen flashing stuff, like when you die and it goes red.
That's why I was dying.
Yeah, it was that.
Yeah.
Rubens set you up.
That's what was happening.
He was like, I'll turn all the settings bad, and then I'll get on here.
That's it. That's the only chance they have.
How often did you guys play this stuff when you guys were testing? Was it like, I know that your whole realm is multiplayer, but like, were you guys doing it daily, weekly, nightly?
We're definitely doing it weekly in like the last couple of months of development. It's like we need to get like as many people actually playing this as possible to try and like just test the
stress test.
Yeah, stress test. That's it.
Yeah.
Somehow forgot the word stress test.
I got you, man. I got you, man. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, also, since we got a second to pause, shout outs to, so when we knew we were doing this, we had all the stuff that's in the base game, which is a ton of good stuff for Deathmatch, but we knew we were trying to get more community stuff in there before the final hour. So I'm going to give a shout out to, we just played DX Chain's map. So let's hear it for DX Chain, Luca, Ralphus, Rock King, Arrowhead, Sar, and somebody named Tokyo Punch-Out, which I don't believe contributed, but apparently there's some maps in there from that person too. So, okay, let's get ready.
Moonlighting.
What'd you say?
Moonlighting, huh?
Yeah, there's just a couple in there. There's a couple in there. You know, it's literally from 1995 or 1994.
That's awesome.
It dates me, but
what we knew for map number 2
yeah, for map.
here.
Let's do Artemis. I think it's 3. That's SARS map, and I grew up playing this map a lot, so I think it'll be a good one. Let's look at let's get a countdown. So everybody get ready in the audience. If you have a Switch or a portable device like a Steam Deck or AOG, whatever you've got, get ready for this code. Everybody online, get ready for this code. Let's give it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit it!
Oh, almost Hexen.
I know, it is almost Hexen. It's like somebody misspelled Hexen. Oh, look at these Steam dominance. Somebody dropped, they got scared. They're like, is that Rubits? Is that actually Rubits? Okay, we got some Xbox love. Are we full up?
I don't see Zanero in again, so I think I'm going to do good.
You're good?
No, I don't see Zanero.
Oh, there's
so
no
I'm
Zanero,
solid.
so you're saying there's a chance. Okay,
We
we're
ready
still
to
doing
go?
the 6 minutes, right? All right, let's start it up. Let's hear it, y'all. Oh, poor, he wasn't ready. You were shooting him, he wasn't ready. All right, so this is a very like center-focused circular map. It was definitely built at a time when 16 players was not an idea that could ever happen. So I actually went through, because my buddy Sar was busy, and I added the other spawn points for him. But now it can support 16 players. We would only play this in my basement with 4, so it's going to be spicy.
Well, one of the neat things now is you don't actually need all the player starts necessary for all 16 people.
Right.
Like, this was a problem for co-op, especially because there's only 4 player starts. You can't have any more. So there's a lot of code behind the scenes so that players can just spawn in dynamically. The game just figures out where to put them.
That's sick. I was just worried about his weapon placement, so I went back and like did a few weapon placement and like spawn changes because I was like, he would want it this way. I think he would want it this way. But you guys did amazing, man. I mean, Rubens is pretty high on that list right now.
He's struggling.
What are you thinking?
He's struggling. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he was part of the multiplayer
some help?
testing at times.
I think he might want to try the controller.
Okay, the controller's up there if you need it, Rubens. He's got 10 kills. He's looking pretty good. Look at the super shotgun spray. It's just nuts down there.
Nothing like it, man.
So
real
Kevin, I always
close-range
wanted to
gun.
ask, like, for weapon balance, once you guys introduced multiplayer, did you ever touch like weapon balance at all from like the single player stuff, or were you just like let it rip?
Yeah, as far as I recall, we just let it rip. I don't think we dealt much with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it moved so quickly before we released, because we got it in so late. Recall sort of my first view of it was Adrian and I sat back to back so we could turn and see each other's computers.
Yeah.
So the first time we fired it up, it was just the two, players couldn't really do much.
Yeah.
But it was just a marvel, just at least for me,
Yeah.
just to like move my character on the screen and turn around and see it
on-
move
yeah.
on Adrian's screen. It's just like, what the heck is this? This is like a whole new world.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's so hard to describe to like anybody growing up now, that just multiplayer and playing with your friends and talking with your friends and not being in the same room is just like, of course.
Yeah.
There's a million ways to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I remember the first time, man, I want to say the first time we did it, it was on an Apple Quadra 610 with like Apple Talk.
Yeah.
And it was a miracle. And I mean, the lag was immense, but we played like it was the greatest connection of all time until we finally got PCs. And then we had Bernelli networks, which we had to like terminate at the end. God, I'm dating myself so bad right now. So that was what we did. And then we were like, what's this 10 base T thing? What's this all about? So we had a hub, just network packet collision galore. Like by the time the game is over, it's like nobody can even move. And then we were, then there's like a switch, and then 10 base, 10-100 came out. It's just crazy that it all happened like through the life of this one game.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It really was that I mean, seeing networked gaming for the first time. I mean, again, for those of us that were, teenagers or adults actually at that point, like you said, like I had that first experience. It was actually a couple years after the original Doom came out when I started working at Activision in QA, and it was that was my introduction to Doom Deathmatch. I'd played the single player, when it came out and stuff, but it was land because it was at the office, and every single night QA just like it just switched from whatever we were testing to Doom, and it was the first time I think that was more incredible to me than actually just Doom was the first time I played. It was just like, that like, okay, move your mouse and you look over here and like it's just like you take it for granted now, like you said, and at that time it was just like, I am moving that character and it is moving over here. It was like bizarre.
And then the first time you did that with a modem, probably like a 1440 or a 9600 before you got to 28.8 and 56K.
Yeah.
You're like, so first of all, nobody pick up the phone, or that's going to ruin everything, right? Yeah. That was the whole thing. Mom! But secondly, it was like the fact that you could be like miles away in your own houses was insane at the time. Like, it felt like you were playing the future. You know what I mean?
Yes. We're definitely in the back in my day, but it's like, it really was. Like, again, just people born, later. It's like cell phones, the first time you used a cell phone and you're like, I'm talking on a phone outside. Like, that is weird. But multiplayer was it was seriously mind-blowing.
Yeah.
The first time you experienced it.
It really was. And that we haven't even mentioned yet the beautiful kind of transition of these things where you had, so the online thing wasn't really a thing because the internet was barely a thing. You had like AOL, Prodigy, all these other little things. But then, I don't know if you remember much of this, Kev, but the guys that ended up starting Dwango?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, because actually, I believe that for a while they were located just a couple of floors down from us in the big black cube office building. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that made it a lot easier to just walk upstairs and downstairs when you had problems, right?
Yeah.
And so for anybody that doesn't know, first of all, let's hear it for Rubitz.
Yeah, respectable.
52 kills, pretty much the same.
I didn't know what the BFG was.
Yeah.
I wish someone told me.
He fell way out of first place there and definitely dropped the ball.
Yeah, what do you think happened there?
I don't know. I should have used a controller. So.
I think if you want, it might be time to swap back. I think we have one more in us.
All right, sure.
Swapping back. Let's hear it. Let's give him some encouragement. Let's go. So 9 last time. We got to get at least 18.
Here, you set it all up.
Now he knows.
What are we doing for the third map?
Let's start from the back end of it instead of the front end of it. Let's see.
Give me like a health boost.
Keep going. Good. I actually like good ideas a lot. I like it. First of all, hold on. Shout out. Go back one more. That Luca doesn't like to. That's my favorite map name of all. Shout outs to Luca, who doesn't name maps. He just
I
gave
think
up.
we had QA actually report that as a bug. I'm like, no, that is the intended map name.
You're like, no, we shipped that. We shipped that. So go forward. The good ideas. I like this one a lot. Yeah, this is a good one. All right, so we're all set up, and now he's got the kind of like screen blinking stuff. So that's another huge advantage that Hugo's about to walk into. No more red flash.
That's
you
right.
Make them red flash.
What's that?
You're gonna make them red flash because you're gonna be getting them.
That's right.
All right.
All right. Tell me.
All right. So countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see the code. LLVF joined it up. Where are the players at? They're like, that's a hard thing to type. All right, here we
that's
go.
a quick. There's DX Chain. There's one of our maps.
Oh, DX Chain's in
getting
here.
in there every time.
DX Chain's our buddy. We just gave a shout out. He made the first map that we played, Lazarus. The new version of that. All right, everybody ready? This is it. We good to go?
I'm ready.
Let's hear it. Woo. All right, start us up. I love how sometimes it just looks like
going on?
People are stunned.
I changed the ESDF.
Oh, wait, see, it's conspiring against me.
It's already rigged. It's already happening.
I added that setting just for me because I hate WASD.
Yeah, right.
ESDF, I understand.
Acted like that was an accident.
My buddy Sarhu, we just played his map.
Look at
He
it,
was always
32
ESDF.
kills.
And I would jump on his
pick
computer
it up.
and be like, how do I do it? How do I do it?
Tim Willits always had a really weird. It was like JK, like L semicolon or something. I don't know what
he was on some like fifth brain stuff. He was doing.
Right. I need the audience's help. Where are the teleporters?
I mean, technically, it's actually around that corner, which is not going to help you now because you're somewhere else.
There's a lot of maps. I can't remember these.
16 players.
I was going to say, how did you guys do the colors? Because there was versions in between now and when we started that I think when you guys shipped, it was only like maybe blue, gray, brown, and like, what was the fourth one?
Green, blue,
Yeah.
gray, brown?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
it. Like, was that just like splash whatever hits the wall, or did you guys have any kind of like idea of what's more visible or something? Or because you guys made them pretty neutral, which I thought was like pretty fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think we ended up with those colors because that was a color range that we had set up for the palette. So, you know, we basically, back then for VGA games, you have to decide on your palette way early in development.
Yeah.
So that thing gets set. And so we're basically having to pick from what ranges we, you know, set up in that palette 9 months before.
Okay.
That's how we sort of ended up with those different colors. But of course we wanted something that was bright and easy to spot. So
Yeah. And I feel like they're pretty fair. Like I remember when they started having source ports and stuff later, people started doing crazy colors. Like I see you guys have a pink in there, and that I know. Shout outs to Shea Williams, who is the most committed to pink I've ever seen of anyone in my life, who will be joining us tomorrow for the Doom Eternal Mods 101. But I feel like that would be Shale if she was in here now. But it sticks out, like it's easy to see the pink player.
Yeah, and we're still using the original palette software renderer, so we have to find a whole bunch of colors that kind of fit and still fit in the Doom palette. So
awesome.
Dude, I just wrecked a bunch of people.
He's already up to 10. He's already passed his limits. We're watching him grow in front of us. This is the montage. You guys are a part of the montage.
I think uncharted territory.
Exactly.
The issue is there's too many of them and they're too fast. That's what's going on.
But all the additional colors that we managed to implement was like a last week thing by Ethan, who basically came in and said, "Yep, no, I've got a whole new spec now to do additional color translations."
Wow!
And so that's actually moddable. Like, if you make a mod, you can add even more player colors.
Whoa, that's cool. Which means you could do like, can you do like custom versions of that, like where you can actually go in and paint them, or is it just like
I'm
you
just
pick
gonna
the palette
camp
number?
right here.
You pick the palette, yeah.
That's tight. That's really cool. And again, back to the history lesson. So Dwango, I don't know why I'm rapping on Dwango, but I'm rapping on Dwango. Everybody that lived in the area that it serviced, so like Dallas, for example, you would call into a modem bank, and it would have servers set up to just play specific levels, which then made all of the most famous deathmatch packs, which were Dwango 5, 1 to, I don't even know where it ended.
12 or 13, somewhere around there. But
and they were all like 32 level packs usually,
it was
right?
a lot of levels.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Dwango 5 map 1. The Doom 2 kind of cut out some of the area. We ran that map at QuakeCon in 2013, actually. Yeah.
And I want to say that was Dweller, otherwise known as Bob, who I think was just somebody local that worked at like a bank and played with all of his buddies after hours. And we tried to contact him by literally going back into the text file from like 1994, and like it didn't bounce back. So for a minute, both Adam Pyle and I were like, if this guy responds, this is gonna make my whole life. But it finally bounced back. But somehow whatever that server is was still on enough to like receive the email. But man, Bob 10, that level, like that inspired me for it's my favorite deathmatch level of all time. So I really wanted it in, but I was like, we can't just, even though he has a disclaimer in the text file, like, use this for whatever you want, because in 1993 it was like, what does that even mean?
Sure, yeah.
There's no commercial anything.
Right.
When I talk to the lawyers, they're like, nah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he even knows that he made this map and it's still like the deathmatch map 30 years later.
I know. I wondered the same thing. But speaking of, we are gonna do a giveaway right after this, and it's gonna be deathmatch focused. And just to give you a hint to get your brains going, it's going to be based on the base game. So no mods, no WODs. It's going to be a question that had to do with the popular map that was in Doom 2. Just to get your head spinning. No Googling. I've seen people like, oh, I'm going to figure that out right now. But that's a big hint. We're up to 18. We're plus 10 from last map, so we're feeling pretty good here.
If they let me take, if I'm not last place, we should give them like a PC or something. I just want to get to 20.
You're doing good.
I still love the death animation.
It never gets
old.
old.
So good.
Yeah.
It's just so, like, it's great.
you see it about 300 times in one match, and you still don't get sick of it.
You don't. I mean, it's amazing. It's so good.
And the fact that, Kevin, talk to us for a minute, because it's so wild how the death animation is amazing, but then there's the Gib animation. Like the one you can actually... Let's hear it for Hugo with 20!
Yeah.
That was baloney. X-rays 68.
X-rays. Damn.
But that's anything. But that's a lot more than what Rubit's got.
It's too many.
Good idea. More like good map.
Yeah, more like good map. Good call. All right, so it is time for... we could maybe do one more. You want to do it?
Yeah, I'm down.
Swap in.
Let's do it.
Let's hear it for Rubit's. Let's hear it for Hugo. We're going to get one more in. We're going to do it fast. It's going to be dealer's choice, so after you switch your ES... I can't even do it. After you switch your keys, go ahead and you pick the map, Rubit's, and then we'll do a countdown and we'll get it going.
Man, I don't know any of these maps. This is weird.
All right, I'll help you.
Pick one.
All right, go backwards. Keep going. Just hold the thing down. We'll do it like a stop.
Oh, we did that one
Artemis.
There we go.
What are the chances? Not tournament edition.
No,
Not tournament edition.
I want to do that one.
Yeah, bad archaeology. Bad archaeology. Go one more up for your level. I think it's 11. Yeah. I like this one too. All right, are you good? You set?
Got private 16.
All right, so we're gonna do this countdown in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Room code. A lot of N's and a J. Let's get in there.
Feels like pulling a slot machine. Like what letters?
Yeah, it really does.
No,
like,
yeah.
It's like a cat on a keyboard. Just. All right. Oh my. Oh, we got DX chain again. Legend.
All Steam this time.
Yeah.
Are we all good to go?
Steam supremacy. Hit it. Let's start it up. All right, I love this map. This is a good one. Man,
hey, this is the one map I know.
Oh, then you're good to go. Yeah, we played this one in the office when we were doing the test. This is one of the ones that was already in there. I also saw in chat somebody said hello again from Romania. Shout outs. Like, how does it feel to make something that you know everyone around the world can just like access and play and like be in the same space together?
Well, kind of horrified, given that I had like, 6 months to write this netcode, like from scratch.
So it started from zero. Instead of like, it had nothing to do with what you guys did in Quake 2. This was just a brand new project as far as the netcode goes.
Yeah, pretty much. So like the original Doom's multiplayer was you press an input and somebody else receives that input and that's the code. So if you're, if somebody like yanks out their modem cable or something like that, the game stops. It can't continue. There's no more progression. And of course, you know, in the modern day, somebody's playing on like Wi-Fi or something like that. They can't. Somebody's Wi-Fi drops out, and you're in the middle of a 16-player match. That can't happen.
No.
So there needs to be a whole new netcode just to be able to allow people to just drop in and out of the game. And Doom doesn't really have any concept for that. So. You basically have to build something from scratch to do that. One of the things I learned from Quake 2 is that some people don't have good upstream. You know, they're playing on like whatever connection they happen to have on hand.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I had to take from that is try and use PlayFab as like a relay environment. The server sends out one packet and that gets bounced by PlayFab to everyone else. And so that was also a large chunk of, you know, the optimization work for this particular project as well, what I took from Quake 2.
That's insane. So you learned that in Quake 2 and you were like, I can actually apply that. After I figured out how to make a persistent environment so that one person leaving doesn't kill the whole thing, right? That's amazing.
Yeah, so like the whole netcode here is sort of like, it's got like Quake 2 snapshot system, like the server just reads all the actors that are around the players and says, all right, here's the data that's changed about them and bounces that to everyone else. And they just spawn and place actors where they need to be. Yeah. But on top of that is like compressing it. Because, so Doom is 3D, I don't know if you know this. So all the actors have like 96 bits worth of just coordinate information alone.
Huh.
and things are flying everywhere, projectiles, all those little puffs that spawn when you shoot the wall.
Yeah.
All of those things need to be transmitted. Their positions need to be transmitted. That's a lot of data to transmit at once. So I was looking at like how to compress all of that each frame. And one of the things I remembered, it was actually, funnily enough, Doom 3 that had...
I was looking at Kevin. I'm like, single barrel, shotgun supremacy. Everybody's wrong about that gun. I love that gun. Continue, sorry.
It had like a compression technique where everything just gets written by bit rather than by byte. And I'm like, that's clever. So instead of sending like... Doom's maps aren't always like covering the entire world. So, some of them, this is pretty small.
Yeah.
You don't need to send all 32 bits of each coordinate because you're not going to have objects escape out that far.
Right.
So I instead sends the coordinate information as like 29 bits for a particular bit for a particular map. And that just saves so much room. You can cram much more stuff in there.
That's amazing. And you just did that through like trial and error of figuring that out when you saw what Doom 3 was doing, kind of?
It's sort of a mix of that, yeah, because, it's still the case of like trying to make it work in this, because Doom, the original Doom isn't designed for this.
Right. That's amazing. And you did that in 6 months?
Yeah.
Jesus. That's awesome.
But, plus things like, doing player prediction, because the original game didn't have that. So if you press a movement key now, it actually responds immediately instead of having to wait for the server to...
That's amazing. Because this is all peer-to-peer through PlayFab.
Close enough to peer-to-peer. Like, the person who makes the lobby, they're the host, they're the arbitrator of the whole state, and everybody listens to that person.
That's cool. So they have a little bit of an advantage still. As they should, or not so much anymore, really?
I don't think it really changes that much.
Wow, that's impressive. Because I remember that was the other thing too, is when you were playing online with your buddies, if you were the host, like you'd have to switch every time because it was totally unfair.
It was unfair, yeah.
Yeah, because it was like you're basically almost on land and they're just somewhere else out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where you started getting the LPB and the HPVs, which was low ping, a word without a father, and then high ping, a word without a father. That starts with a B.
We're so proper these days. We had LPB and LPB T-shirts one year at QuakeCon.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I can't remember who made those, but yeah, they were selling them at QuakeCon. It was awesome.
That's sick.
I think I still have one actually.
All right, you know what? While we're doing this, we are going to start the giveaway. It is giveaway time. You all ready? All right. I'm going to ask this question first to online to get the stuff rolling. So CVH, wherever you are out there in the world, I love you, and let's get the MooBot going. So the question for this BFG 5-inch light-up LED with a stand replica is as follows. That is in the Doom Anthology that comes out later. You can pre-order that now if you don't get it. What was the name of the most played Doom 2 deathmatch level? Again, this is a base level. Hashtag all capitals and make it one word. It's 2 words. It's another hint. Make it one word. What was the name of the most played Doom 2 deathmatch level? If you know, you know. So go ahead and spam that in chat if you're on Twitch. This is, again, only on Twitch. Also, nice job. DX Chain, our buddy. Our
I
actual...
should have picked him first.
Yeah.
I would have won.
You're like, kick him out of the server, take his levels out of the game. It's been bespoken. All right. Same question now. Parker, are we ready? Where's Parker?
Hello.
Parker out here? There he is. All right. My buddy Parker has this for one of you lovelies in the audience. Okay, so here's the question. Very similar, same question, but now we're going to need to know what the map number is. So what was the name of the most played Doom 2 deathmatch level, and also what map number?
Here, what's that guy want to hear? The map and number.
Map 1 entryway.
Incorrect.
So sorry about that. Thank you.
Just a guess. Underhalls, map 2?
No, sir.
Say over here. I'm coming.
It's a really simple question here.
All right, map and number.
He's trying to give it away.
The map for sure is dead simple.
Yes.
The number.
You know this.
7?
Nailed it.
Lucky 7.
You believe?
Let's hear it.
Woo.
Nicely done, sir.
Job, dude. 77.
Doomer 77, congratulations.
And Hugo, you've got to turn on always run.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I want to give him
Congratulations.
Makes you tired. Too much.
Hope you enjoy your QuakeCon.
Congrats, man. Congrats.
Congrats.
That's amazing. I knew you were going to get one from yesterday. I don't know why. I was just like, it's going to happen. Hell yeah. All right, so to wrap things up again, if you're okay, we already did that. Oh, wait. Go back one. I need to see the online name. I want to read it out loud. It was up there for a second. There it is. Let me make sure I don't. Okay. I don't think this is a Nier Automata reference, but I want it to be. Niers 3B. I didn't do that right at all. Minis 3B. On Twitch, Minis 3B. Let's hear it for Minis 3B. Because this answer was what? Dead simple. All right. So, thank you guys so much for being here. We love all y'all. Go play Doom plus Doom 2 today. You probably have it on whatever platform you already had either or on, and if you don't, I don't think it's that much, and it's an insane amount of content with mods, with online multiplayer, thanks to Ed and crew. 16 players, co-op deathmatch. Make sure you wish list Doom the Dark Ages on whatever platform you want to play it on, which is going to be PC or PlayStation or Xbox Series X or S. And join us tomorrow at 3:15, which is when myself and Marty and Shale will be up here, and we are going to do a 101, kind of like I always say GDC style. I don't know, just like a tutorial kind of thing, right?
Just an entry-level course on making Doom Eternal mods. Very entry-level, but it'll get you set up. It'll kind of get you oriented to the system and what it's all about and why we're doing it and all the capabilities that you have ahead.
Because id Studio is, again, the tools that id used to make Doom Eternal that we've now put, if you didn't miss it, now you know, it's in public beta. You go to Doom Eternal as an owner, you go to tools. We'll tell you all this tomorrow, but we're going to walk you through it so that there's no question you can get you in there. And right now, stay tuned for the ESO, which is Elder Scrolls Online trial run. Thank y'all. We love y'all. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
As you can see, QuakeCon is so much more than the BYOC. We have the arcade, and upstairs we even have miniature painting, 3D printing, a tabletop library, and even consoles if you want to take a moment away from the keyboard and mouse. We're going to go to Amy right now to show you more.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Hi, I'm Amy Schlueter, Senior Community Manager for Elder Scrolls Online. I am here right now at the Tabletop Village. Can you tell me a little bit about just the tabletop games here and a little bit about your library?
Absolutely. So we represent the DFW Gaming Village. We started off as a group of board gamers, just kind of that as friends who came together over our mutual love of board gaming. One of the things that we've started doing now is taking our library to different conventions around the DFW area. We work here with QuakeCon quite extensively. We've worked with LAN All Night. We've worked with some anime conventions, and our main goal is to bring our love of tabletop gaming to those who also have a love of console gaming, just as another avenue of gaming for those who do BYOC as well, and all those types of things, to kind of show them the avenue of tabletop gaming in addition.
That's awesome. Well, so can you tell us about what some of the fan favorite games are that people tend to check out when they come up here?
Sure. Well, we have a lot of games for folks who, if they're kind of more of a beginner into gaming, things people might recognize would be things like Giant Uno, Settlers of Catan, things like Ticket to Ride, a lot of introductory games, like if you have a friend who's kind of curious about board gaming but really hasn't done anything, we have a lot of those introductory things to kind of get them into it.
Well, that's awesome. I'll have to come up here later and check some of those out myself. And thank you so much for the time and talking to us. We're going to head on over now to miniature painting.
You roll at the table, and I got my choice, and I asked for something spiky. It appears to be some type of cyberpunk werewolf smoking a pipe.
Smoking a pipe. We're painting minis, so we're letting people pick out minis and painting them for free.
That sounds so fun. I'm actually also a fan of painting minis. I'm not the best at it, but I love to do it. Can you tell me what's been the favorite so far here?
The favorite so far is the dragon that no one can land on, which is number 9.
What's new in tabletop this year?
So this year we've added trivia. So in the morning we do solo rounds of trivia, and in the evenings we're doing team trivia this year.
We're in the console lounge, so it's set up in a way where you can come up here and relax a bit from the hectic down below. They have beanbags set up where you can relax on your phone or play on your Switch, whatever console you have, or play on the Xbox that's set up with Bethesda games.
I love the idea of having like a nice little retreat away from everything while still being in the middle of QuakeCon.
Today we're doing a tech demo for 3D printing in general. One of the things we're doing right now is we're running off some paint trays for our mini painting. We're also going to be helping people customize a keychain or a lanyard chain to take with them that will have their gamer tag and QuakeCon 2024 on it. Something like this one right here.
Oh, that's awesome. What a sweet little personalized memento. I'm going to have to come back and do one of those myself a little bit later on. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you talking to us. Before QuakeCon opened up, Parker and Andre got a sneak peek at the arcade, so let's go check that out.
Hello everyone, I'm here with my homie Andre Carlson. We're here at the QuakeCon arcade, checking out some pretty cool cabinets, am I right?
Yeah, this year the QuakeCon arcade is brought to us by our friends at Psychic Drive. They've got an amazing lineup of fighting games, rhythm games, racing games, all kinds of cool stuff.
I'm excited. Without any further ado, let's go play some games.
We hope you've enjoyed this tour of the Tabletop Village, the miniature painting, console lounge, 3D printing workshop, and the arcade. Enjoy the rest of QuakeCon 2024.
Where do we go? This way? This way? Okay. Thanks. Gina, you want to go first? Remember when we hit the stairs, we're live. Thanks. Yes, that is where you should sit.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in today for the trial competition for the Elder Scrolls Online. We are really happy to be back at QuakeCon this year, with this year being extra special because we are celebrating the Elder Scrolls Online's 10-year anniversary.
Ooh, yeah! 10 years!
My name is Gina. I will be hosting today's live stream, and I am very happy to be joined by our two commentators. We have ESO's own lead encounter designer, Mike Finnegan. And we have ESO stream team member and full-time content creator, 8 Puppies.
He's going to be doing all the work, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, seriously, this guy knows this trial inside and out. And I mean, you have a lot of experience with endgame content for ESO, yeah?
Oh yeah, I've been raid leading for the last 5 years, competitively pushing content for probably the last year at this point, and Lucent Citadel had a lot of time spent in it. It's a great trial. I'm super excited.
Awesome. Well, again, with it being ESO's 10-year anniversary, we do have a number of really cool things that we've been doing to support QuakeCon this year. The first of which is the ESO fan row in the BYOC. Now, for anybody who's not familiar with fan rows, this is something that we started last year for QuakeCon. It kind of just brands certain rows with Bethesda games and special partners. So for ESO's fan row, we're giving everybody in that row exclusive merchandise, giveaways, we're giving them food even.
Yeah, that snack box.
Scavenger hunts, I mean, all sorts of really cool things.
That's going to sustain them for the whole weekend.
All the way through Sunday.
All the way
yeah.
through.
Lots of cookies
as long as they
happening.
eat a little bit at a time.
So if this is something that sounds really cool to you, you want to get into it next year, just hop in, get a ticket to QuakeCon, and then make sure to choose the ESO fan row. We also have a community meetup happening in the Dallas area for anybody who's in the area, or I guess for people who aren't in the area. Some people even flew in for it, which is really cool. We also were presented with a really cool opportunity to collaborate with Dallas Pets Alive. Now, this is one of the charities that we're supporting for QuakeCon this year. We are doing a number of things to help raise money for them because they do a really fantastic job looking for homes for dogs and cats around the Dallas area. So we are going to be doing a number of charity streams. We had one live earlier today with No Lollygagging. Amy and I will be doing a stream on the Bethesda channel tomorrow morning starting at 10:30. Where are we? Central time.
Yeah, Central.
Hello,
Cleveland.
What is this place? We also have streams from Skinny Cheeks. Eight Puppies is going to be doing a stream for the pups. Pups for Pups.
That's right.
Pups for Pups.
We also have actor and ESO voiceover actor. Is he in here? He's in here somewhere. We have Jake Stormon. He will be live from QuakeCon. So definitely be sure and tune in. We hope to raise a lot of money for DPA this year. Last thing, we have some really cool ESO t-shirts that are benefiting Dallas Pets Alive. I'm actually wearing it. I don't know if you can see, but it's this one. So if you're not at QuakeCon, you can actually order this online on the Dallas Pets Alive website. All proceeds go straight to DPA, so it's definitely for a great cause. All right, let's get started with the trial competition, which is why a lot of people are watching, right?
Yeah.
So basic rules. Pretty simple. We have two top-tier PvE teams going against each other to see who can get the highest score.
Yeah.
And they are going through the newest trial, which is Lucent Citadel. This came out in Gold Road, so just a couple months ago. It's still a pretty new trial.
Pretty new trial, yeah.
But my understanding is this trial is really cool and really unique. So I've been told.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can talk all about it, what makes it so cool.
So we tried some new things in this trial. We've learned a lot over the years of how to build content to really push the envelope and challenge everybody. And that's, again, we tried it again this year, and the team really knocked it out of the park and did some brand new things that people haven't seen before.
Now, you've done this trial a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
You have groups that you run with going through this trial. What about this trial makes it so special for you? With no spoilers, though, right?
No spoilers. I think it's just gave us so much that we've never seen before in the game. You know, trial content is pretty standard in the way that you do it in terms of the boss encounters, but everything about this trial is just so unique, from the way that the final boss is structured to the way that the first boss exactly, the way that the first boss requires you to split into two teams, leaves so much room for so much creative optimization in the way that you're building raid comps, especially on console. And I mean, even all the way down to the base pot mechanics, where we have all of these crazy dynamics conflicting against each other, that it just makes the trial so unique.
And that gives you a lot of levers in order to challenge yourself and get a higher score.
Speaking of score, for those who maybe aren't as familiar with trials in ESO, this is 12-player content. What do the teams need to do in order to kind of maximize their best chance at getting a high score?
Yeah, so there are three difficulty levels that we have within trials. You have normal, that's for the more casual players and the players that aren't really wanting to push it kind of to the pedal to the metal. And then we have veteran, and those are scored, and then each boss has a hard mode. So what goes into a score is not just defeating the encounters. It's how fast you defeat the encounters, how fast you defeat all of the encounters, whether you've activated hard modes, if you have deaths, because there's a vitality counter, which means every time you have a death, you reduce your vitality counter and reduces the final score. So if you want the top score, you have to get through really fast without dying at all and activate those hard modes, because all of that adds to your score.
That no death component is probably going to play a huge factor tonight.
Absolutely.
It's going to be one of the most important things to look for.
Yeah.
Yeah, now the team that gets the highest score today, they are fighting for a pretty cool prize pack, I think. They're going to get 14,000 crowns. They're also going to get a 1-year ESO Plus membership, which gives them even more crowns, so they can just go nuts buying stuff. They will get an in-game mount of choice, and then the first ever custom pennant banner for today's QuakeCon competition. It's going to be really cool. And then, of course, we do want to give a prize to those who tried. Right? They tried.
I mean, this is a big competition, and you get something for signing up and going through it for sure.
Right, yeah, so they will also be getting a nice crown pack and an ESO Plus membership as well. All right, I think we should get started. Let's take a look at the first team's roster. This is for a group on PCNA. They are called
the Apes.
I don't know why they're called the Apes, but all right, so on here you can kind of see the makeup of today's team on PCNA and their different roles going through the trial.
Yeah, so in all the roles here, this is kind of a standard trial setup. It's 2 tanks, 2 healers, 8 DPS, which is the kind of optimal setup when you're pushing that high-end content.
It might not be that all the way through, though, especially on some fights. We might see some of those healers convert to DPS for a little bit of extra damage when the healing might not be as necessary. Especially in a trial like this, there's a lot of room for that creative optimization that we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think if the Apes are ready, if they are logged in and ready to go, we can kind of swap over their gameplay and get started in just a minute. And you know what I'm going to do for you two? I'm going to kind of do this live, and hopefully I don't unplug anything. I'm going to turn this, because I don't need this monitor, but you do.
Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect.
There.
Awesome.
And I didn't knock it over.
That looks great.
Is that
there we
okay?
go.
There they are. Here we go.
They are ready to go. This is how the trial starts. They're in the what we typically call an airlock. Once you hit those doors, that is when your score officially starts, and we start counting down.
Yeah, and we're taking a look at a healer POV today. We got the Xanshi on a Nightblade. You'll notice one of the first things he's doing is that magical pool's at 15%. For those of my healer friends who know, the Mythic Pearls requires you to keep your mag super low so that you can gen a ton of ultimate, and it's one of the things that the Blade Healer excels at the most. In terms of raw healing output and just straight ult gen, it's a great class to put in either a Slayer set or in Pillager. But I mean, with that, here we go straight into the trial and into the first trash pack here. We'll encounter the
pop.
I know, I was going to slip a few times.
So what we try to do in these in the trials with the base pop is we have a theme as we're going through. There's a light and dark theme. They're actually moving really, really fast through here. There's a light and dark theme, and we're teaching you some of those aspects as you're initially in here.
And the light and dark dynamic is probably one of the coolest and most unique mechanics I've ever seen in any base pop pulls in ESO. Especially as we get into this next set, we'll encounter our first light ad and Acolyte. And when it dies, it'll leave behind a Radiance AoE. And that AoE will do a ton of damage, as well as invuln any ads that are caught inside of it. So whether it's a small ad or whether it's one of the dark ads, they won't be damageable. And that'll be a big element for the speed component to these runs as well.
Absolutely.
And a great job there. One little ad left behind, and it does just get chained right outside of the Radiance AoE, so no need to worry about there. And we're getting pretty close to probably the most dangerous base pop ad in the entire trial, which is the Firestorm. Kind of mimics some of the mechanics from the Keel Cutter and Dreadsail, but it is far more deadly.
Far more deadly, and it's one of those ones that positioning is really, really important.
Oh, yeah. If it doesn't get nuked immediately, especially if you get a little bit of bad RNG, it's going to be a bad time real fast. Right before this boss pull, too, here, we see the tank trying to streak ahead a little bit, but one ad getting taken away from it. They might just go take that to the next pull. A little bit of a missed taunt there. It is coming back, and it's just a slasher. So that Firestorm did get taken out before we had to see that happen, and they'll lose a little bit of time on that. But the Sork tank, it looks like, will at least go stack the last set of ads before the first boss.
And we're going to see them try to make up time a little bit here coming up. Again, these groups are really good, and they already have their focus is set up. So as you get to the first boss as we're coming up, you need to split into 2 groups, and they already have that decided.
Oh, yeah. They have it decided with quite the comp, too. As you might notice in this group, there isn't a single Necromancer, and that's super important in raids because their ultimate usually provides the buff Major Vulnerability, which does a ton for your group. So they're going to have to source this since they don't have a Crow through sets. We have both the tanks in the set Turning Tide to make up for that, as well as Tremor to try to make sure that they're hitting pen cap. And as we'll see later on throughout this fight as well, especially for groups that aren't quite at the level of the top tier groups that we're looking at now, the damage might be a little bit lower, and the ads that we're seeing spawning throughout the encounter are going to play a big role.
Absolutely.
These groups will probably just be able to cleave them down, but most groups might want to focus them.
The ads are very real danger in this fight that you have to focus on and bring them in. And if they start to run through the group, they get to be really problematic for everybody.
For sure, especially the mini-boss on this particular side, Zillia set, is a tank buster type of ad for sure. The resource drain, it ticks 20 times over the course of 10 seconds, so you have that in combination with ticks from the beams, from all the small ads, the boss's triple heavy attack itself. Your stand pool is getting nuked in a really short window of time. So a sustained minigame for the tanks on this side for sure.
Yeah, and we're going to be coming up on the Annihilation mechanic. It's a mechanic that the 2 groups are going to need to find where they need to go. Here it is right now. They're going to need to find where to go, look in the mirror, find out where to go, and go to the other side. And then they need to change up kind of what they're doing because each of these little bosses is going to behave quite differently.
The big one for the damage dealers on this side in particular, Count Ryle is coming out with this meteor mechanic very early on. It will stun you if you get hit by any of these. So especially when you're running an Arcanist comp, it becomes a really cool kind of mini game of, you know, if you have your 5-second channeled spammable, sometimes it's worth taking the very first hit of that, getting stunned and breaking free so you have the CC immunity to be able to go straight back into that beam.
For sure.
But you know, if you're in the process of reapplying a bunch of dots, you might just block that because there's no reason to take it. So some really interesting elements of min-maxing DPS that these groups could fully take advantage of here.
And absolutely, and to reiterate, these people are operating at a very high level. If you're coming into this trial without the kind of the practice and stuff, part of what these groups excel at is practicing this over and over and over in order to get the most optimum setup and the most optimum kill order.
Oh yeah, and one of the things that we're going to see here from a group with this type of damage is they might be able to skip the second mirror mechanic altogether. Count Ryle is right at about 4 mil HP now, and it looks like the bosses are pretty even. They do have to die at the same time in this fight. And here's the Annihilation. It looks like they'll probably try to skip it here. Count Ryla's and Zillia's set going down before the Annihilation, just within seconds of each other, avoiding the boss respawn mechanic altogether. And just like that, with full vitality, past the first boss and into the next set of base. Base pop?
I like it.
Base
I like
okay?
it.
Base okay?
In the base.
All right.
What about that base?
And this is where we'll start to see the first, in my opinion, one of the coolest elements of these polls is the small little ads, the ones with 200k health, just the little skeletons. They tend to be the ones to cause the most problems in here because, you know, realistically, you have 2 tanks and there are 6 or 7 targets here. You're not going to get aggro on all of these small little skeleton ads. So pretty much all the damage that they do applies stacks of darkness, and that can become a real problem real quick.
And it's a focus level, too. Everybody's focusing on getting where the tank targets are and stuff, so you let those guys run around and they can cause real problems.
Especially the skeletal necrotics that we'll see in this poll here. The ads that are channeling, you're going to start seeing all of these AoEs pop up everywhere here. In the near future, all of these green-looking AoEs are coming from those teeny tiny skeletal necrotics, and if they don't get chained or interrupted quick enough, that's a very quick way to give darkness to the group, which we haven't seen yet, but darkness is this big black AoE that pops up around a player's feet. It will destroy your resources, it'll tick for a little bit of damage, and you pretty much just can't do anything with it. And the unique thing is if multiple people get darkness at the same time, you can kind of, in a sense, bomb each other, which can definitely result in some trash deaths, and that's what we'll be looking for here until we get to the second boss. It's the easiest way to lose a full Vital in Lucid Citadel. And
there's ways to counteract it. When you get to the light ads, and they'll put down ways for you to cleanse this darkness so that you're not kind of like hindered by it.
Exactly, the Radiance AoEs that we were discussing a little bit earlier too. And when I found myself doing this content, one of the things that I liked to do is to try to track those stacks of darkness. And if I had 2 of them, it's a good idea to try to maybe take a step away from the group, so in case you do catch a 3rd stack, you don't pass it off to other people.
For sure. Yeah.
And this is a really dangerous pull. You can see they're taking an extra second to make sure that everybody's ready and set up for it. They'll probably barrier into this pull. These 2 light adds here, their light attacks will actually one-shot a damage dealer. So 2 tanks need to get aggro of 4 targets in a very quick window of time to avoid any damage dealer's deaths. And then you need to ulti-dump that Firestorm mechanic right there, which they do just get it off in time.
Just got that, yeah. The Firestorms are, part of this is the puzzle mechanic of coming into these trials and looking at what needs to be killed in what order, and they're doing a really good job of focusing down what needs to be killed in the right order.
And speaking of kill priority here, the little skeleton adds definitely the priority on this pull. I'll never get over it. It's so funny to me how the small adds actually make a huge difference. And there's the first death of the fight. Standing in a Radiance AoE. You got to wonder what might have caused that there. Stood in the AoE for a bit too long. That's so unfortunate. Went to cleanse darkness, and that's just a really small and minor mistake that's going to make a big difference in the future here. As the mini boss fight begins, they'll try to burn 40 mil off of this boss in 30 seconds. It's a really difficult burn to make, but it's one that they can do.
I think they got him up pretty fast, that they'll be able to recover pretty well.
For sure. And they're doing some really interesting things on this boss from the NA team as well. They have 3 of their 4 support are spec'd as damage dealers, so they only have like 1 true healer, which is the POV that we're watching right now. But you can see the damage is just flying off of this boss with essentially 11 damage dealers. The tank's still in heavy armor, but I mean, Rapid Strikes is so strong. You slide it on anybody, it's going to do damage.
And you don't see it from this perspective, but as they're traveling through this trial, they're swapping out gear, they're swapping out abilities, they're doing all of that stuff in order to optimize themselves for the next pull.
When I do this place on PC, I think I have 8 different trash setups, just depending on what's going on. There's a lot that you could do in the realm of optimization in this trial. There it is, a pretty good kill on the mini-boss there, and on to our favorite part.
I love this part. So this is again, when we talk about doing new things, this is one of those new things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We added in a flying mechanic, basically, that you turn into a little wisp and you have to get up to the top. It's not always that easy. These guys are going to make it look easy, but it's not that easy. Many a trial have been derailed by 11 people being at the top and 1 person just not quite getting it.
Yeah, I remember losing a full Vital run on PTS when this trial was still on it to the Wisp mechanic. That was pleasant.
Pleasant. That was pleasant. Now we're heading into some other very, very difficult base pop pulls here.
Oh, yeah. These next 2, they're the last 2 in the entire trial, which, again, structurally is different than any trial that we've ever seen. But my goodness, do these pulls have a ton. We got 3 Dark Adds, including a Firestorm, which, again, I don't think it's going to get its mechanic off here, followed by 2 Acolytes in the center. And when all this goes down, there will be 2 Radiants that we're seeing spawn now on the left and to the right. And they're going to stay still for a moment, and they're not damageable. So the group's going to focus on these skeletal adds while these Radiants are doing their mechanic, and then the tanks are going to stack them into the center.
The priority is really good. You need to get that other Radiant in the middle here.
For sure, and it's super important. These Radiants are a little close to these skeletal adds here, and the Radiants keep respawning those skeletal adds, so we might see a Radiant go down and some of these adds end up in Vuln, but it looks like it's not going to work out that way. It's going to work out in the group's favor, and they're still trucking along with 35 Vitality. It's a good run so far.
And each death, each Vitality loss is impactful in your run. It's quite a bit of points.
Oh yeah.
But it's not insurmountable.
For sure. Depending on the trial, it equates roughly 1 death is worth about a minute roughly of your score, give or take. Greatly depends on the trial, but those Firestorm mechanics going off, nobody going down to it, and this is another pull that we didn't quite talk about, but the 2 Firestorms spawning in the very far back make this pull incredibly difficult to stack, especially if you get a little bit of bad luck with them stomping and waiting to get in. So the group having to play it a little safe there. Sometimes you can kill this Radiant before it even does its mechanic if everything goes super well, but not everything going super well there. They're bringing the other Radiant into stack. Definitely a little bit of a safer iteration of this base pop pull.
This Radiant appears behind you, so he's one of those ones that you really have to focus on and try to bring him in.
Oh, he doesn't like to walk in either, for sure. Yeah, these ranged adds in this trial are really ranged. And I mean, on top of all the things that we've discussed about the ads. You obviously don't want to pixel stack everything because when those Radiance AoE spawn, then all the ads get gold barred. So that, and combined with the fact that all of these light ads have such a long range to actually get them to be able to move, presents a really unique challenge for tanks to learn how to stack the base pop in this trial really, really well. It was a lot of fun to figure out.
So this is them approaching. This is the second boss. This is the pre-fight to the second boss, the Ophalic Shattered Shard.
I mean, a spectacular looking fight as a whole. We have these 4 mirrors each on the side of the room, and whenever you synergize the mirror, it turns a different color, but it puts a nasty bleed on you whenever you do so. So when a group is moving this fast, you need to cycle out the players who are hitting the mirrors, and it needs to be coordinated because you can't damage the ads unless the mirrors are flipped and the room is the correct color.
Correct. So the ads are, as they've been previously in the trial, they're light and dark, and the room is going to completely change its color, light and dark. So that's where you know if all the light ads are up, you need to change the room dark so that you can actually damage them. And when they're spawning in the same time, then it becomes a matter of when to swap, when to not swap.
Oh yeah, for sure. And as the fight progresses, this is the last ad that we'll see before the main boss here, but the main boss will spawn more mirrors throughout the encounter as well to give more and more people more jobs and add more pressure. And these ads, we're seeing them roll through these guys right now, but they can be extremely dangerous. The Runox put a nasty bleed, have a nasty charge. The Sentinel shield throw. The AoEs.
The tornadoes too,
The Sentinel shield throw can just come out of nowhere and blindside you. But it can get real tricky real fast. So we see the first mirror mechanic phase happening now from the second boss. You see these tethers from the center of the boss attached to the mirrors. The group has to go synergize the mirrors to break the mechanic, but you'll see that the boss is still not quite damageable. The Sentinel in group, shield throw coming out shortly that the group has to avoid in mirrors number 3 and 7, as they're commonly labeled, to the left and right of the arena spawn, so that the boss is now damageable. And we'll see that happen one more time at 60%, but a little bit of artificial damage loss there, I guess you could say, having to wait for the mirrors and survive for a minute while the Sentinel comes through the group as well. Here's the Fate Sealer mechanic, the hard mode mech that can make or break a fight. If the boss does not slam down on this eyeball, kind of like that boss in Vatashran, then 4 people in the group just get instantly one-shot. But the group's super prepared, handling it very well, only 2% away from the next mirror mechanic where the boss will port into the center, and this time we're going to get that Runock that spawns in. And that Runock, it can be really tough to get early on, so the DD's got to kind of keep their heads on a swivel and watch for it to make sure that they don't catch a bleed.
Here's a 60% shield mechanic.
And there's that Runock in group now. Looks like the tank has it under control. Mirrors 1 and 5 out now. A good block from the healer there. Zoran, who we haven't talked much about in this fight, the mini boss, you kind of just tend to ignore, especially in a group that's pushing the boss this fast. But Zoran has a few mechanics that are extremely detrimental. Its AoE port's a one-shot. The AoEs that come out from the AoE port is a one-shot. The cone is a one-shot. And then what I almost lost my mind over for a second there was its heavy attack. Its heavy attack around the tank is an AoE, and the healer did a really good job seeing that he was right next to the tank, and he blocked in time to not get killed to that. It was a really good play by Xanchi there.
Shield throws coming out. Again, this is where we talked about that really fast. Get a shield throw, Fate Sealer overlap here. This Fate Sealer, this is a great mechanic because this is very much a tank mechanic. The tank has to be Johnny on the spot with knowing exactly where to go in order to get the boss into the right spot.
And he almost missed it right there. He took a couple of steps. He was maybe 1 or 2 steps away from missing that and seeing a really tough situation for the group to be put in, but instead, Zoran's gone now at 25%. The boss doing its last mirror mechanic here at 15. This is where it gets dangerous. The off-tank kiting 2 Runocks around the room, 1 more spawning. Everybody's going to have the dot from the mirror drain, and they still have to wait for this mechanic to finish. Lots of healing needs to go out here. The Runock porting to the left, and the other one in group now. The boss is damageable. Look at those health bars moving like crazy. The heal's going absolutely insane. Boss rounding around 10 mil now.
3 Runocks out.
Oh man, trying to nuke the last 3 mil off of it. Slam out, doesn't matter. They will move on with no deaths on the second boss. Still 35 vitality, a really solid run, really easy to have a death on that fight. And now we move on to the final
boss. Yes. One of my favorite encounters, and this is again a change from what we've done in previous trials. Just had a set number of bosses that you would go to, and this final encounter is really a run through a gauntlet to get to the end, because the goal of this is to deposit the arcane knot, but there's a lot of wrinkles that come up in this last section.
Oh yeah, and I mean, it's such a unique job of promoting a fight that encourages so many different good ways of doing good damage and so many encounters throughout the fight. But also, the tank's job on this fight can look extremely deceiving. Those ice Atros do a ton of damage, man. Their light attacks, especially as you get further and further through the fight. I'm going to say this again. Their light attacks can one-shot if it's unblocked, which can get a little aggressive, especially in a fight that's so movement-oriented.
Yeah, absolutely. And those Atros are going to come out whenever you see the Arcane Knot. The person carrying the Arcane Knot, it's going to fracture, and that's where you're going to see the Atros come out, and that's where the danger kind of comes in.
Yeah, so we just had our first fracture there, and we see Xanchi, the healer, staying in the back to try to catch the tether. And that tether, if it does go out, which they might actually skip, and it looks like they just barely missed the skip on the mini. So that beam that we see right now kind of mimics the mechanics in Coral Area, if you've seen it before. Anybody that walks between you and the player with the tether will get one shot. So they got to make sure that they keep that out of group. The healer doing a great job to catch it. And we didn't get to see too much of the crystals, which is another really unique mechanic in this encounter as well. So we'll have to come back to that in the Necro room, I think. But
and then you come in here, and this is a mini version of the first boss where you get to fight that again. But then you also have the Arcane Knot fracturing right now. You're going to see another Atro come out as well.
There it is, just as that first one's dying too. And you'll notice that instead of just 6 meteors, we get 11 meteors from Baron now with everybody in the same room. So everybody having to do well to make sure that they stay somewhat soft stacked and spread out, because stacking 2 of those is an insta-death.
Loosely spread.
Very good way to do this fight for sure. Very good damage, usually killing it right after the second set of meteors is on pace for a phenomenal first boss time here. Looks like they're only 2 minutes into the fight getting into the Necro room.
Nice. Healer's carrying the knot now. You're going to see this fracture and what this looks like.
First hand, yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever you're carrying the Arcane Knot, there's a pretty significant damage over time that you're afflicted with for roughly 45 seconds, which is the knot's duration, and it ramps up in time.
And you're pretty heavily snared, too. So part of the Arcane Knot's mechanic is you need to get your friends around you in order to let you move quickly.
Right, but if you get caught in that giant AoE that we just saw, then you get an 8-minute debuff, and you can't pick up the knot again.
Yep.
And since you have the 8-minute debuff with the 45-second timer, it works out so that all 12 people will have to hold the knot at some point through the fight. So if somebody gets debuffed, it's game over.
Yeah.
And we're seeing, I'm interested to see what Necro strat we're going to see. Yeah,
they're waiting here, pulling the, killing the Crystal Astronaut, pulling Necros up here. They have them yet?
Well, I'm curious to see. It does look like, it looks like this is the strat. The tank's going to come up now from the very back. So the tank ran down the stairs, which we'll see a bit later, to go essentially pull soft aggro of all of the Necromancers and try to bring them up to the group into a stack. And it looks like we do have another death here. The player holding the knot to the necrotic AoE, the AoEs that follow the player with the knot. He might have just dotted out with it. They're going to have to do a second set of rain, a little bit of a safe strat. This rain mimics the mechanic in Hellra, the Starfall mechanic, where it does a ton of damage. You want to stay somewhat soft stacked because that will stack. But now that that's finished, they can go back to the Necros, ulti dump, nuke everything here. And when the Necros are finished, then we'll be able to see these mechanics stop, and they can go handle the rest of the crystals.
And it's a compounding mechanic. A death when you're holding knot. We had another death here now. A death while you're holding the knot means another Atro comes out. So that's another Atro that you're going to have to deal with. So if you're used to dealing with only a certain amount during the fight, this is another one you have to burn through.
This is right about the part of the fight, too, where the Necros, the Ice Atros start to do a lot of damage. So a tank having to hold 2 of these, especially if you don't spec with like an Arcanist tank. I believe they're doing a DK and a Sork. And the benefit of an Arcanist tank in this trial is they have a 40k damage shield. And that makes doing this fight this fight in particular, significantly easier. But when you're going for a score, you need to kind of sacrifice that because the Arc doesn't offer a ton of utility. So they opted for a DK and a Sork tank for a little bit more damage, which means they're going to have a lot more pressure when those Ice Atros are active. But I mean, they did a great job cleaving them down. It looks like they still only have 1 despite all of that. As they get ready to move into the double mini room with 33 vitality, a really solid start from the Apes from our NA team here.
Absolutely. And we talked a little bit about the crystals. The crystals have the barriers, so you have to defeat those crystals in order to move through and break down the barriers in order to keep going. So that's another aspect of getting everybody in the right position and positioning correctly for your team.
Yeah, and a little bit of a late spawn on this crystal here that we're seeing now. They're going to try to get this crystal down to roughly 50% and then get the double mini stacked. They do have 2 Atros. The crystals do spawn, and the minis, I've seen a strat recently for this that I really, really like. and they're not doing it. This is a dangerous strat, but this is definitely the speed way to do it. They're taking a lot of risks with this, especially for the tank. 2 Ice Atros and 2 minis pointed towards the crystal.
That's a lot of pressure on the tank.
It's a lot of pressure, and they are handling it phenomenally.
Oh, another
death.
The other crystal. Another death.
And that is a tank death. The ads are going to be loose here. This could spell trouble for the NA team. Both the Atros are weak. The minis are not. They need to get the res on the tank quickly.
Oh, another death. Oh.
The good news is that the crystals are down. That is both. No, that is not both tanks. It is just one tank. So we have both the minis and a new Atro. It's 1 Atro, 2 minis. This is far more recoverable, but the knot's loose, and it's going crazy. Somebody needs to pick it up. It's a miracle. There's another death. That's crazy. If you leave the knot down for too long, they're supposed to be dead, but they need to pick it up again. It's loose again.
No. This is
devolving
off the rails
very
a
quickly.
Bit here, yeah.
Everybody needs to take a breath and just recover here a little bit. Get the Atros down, get the minis down, and just go through and get this clear. We're
in
down
those highlights, when you talked about a risky strat earlier, this is the danger.
This is exactly what it was. This was the risky strat.
Yes, absolutely. Kudos to the team for trying it and pushing it, and it's a good strategy when it works.
It's a great strategy when it works. That's part of the risk, though, especially when you're pushing.
No risk for no reward, yeah.
The thing that's so unique about this competition is the teams were given one run. When you look at even the current world record, which is a score of 262K, it was a 20-minute, 49-second run.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't show up to QuakeCon and do that in one pull.
Yeah,
you do that over the course of many raids.
And you reset. You start or you reset.
Exactly.
You reset, yeah.
So doing it in this type of a competition just adds so much pressure.
High pressure, yeah.
And here it is. They do make it through. They go straight into the Zorn room.
Dragging that crystal with them, that Atronach with them.
And here it is, the grand finale. You might recognize this room from when you open the doors to the trial. We've almost gotten the knot all the way through.
That chain lightning mechanic that Zorn does is very, very scary. They're coming in here with another crystal Atro. I don't know what the knot timer is.
The knot should be, I think it was relatively freshly picked up. It looks like it's got another 30-ish seconds. I can't find the add-on that's being used for that. 3 seconds. It's about to fracture. Okay. And this lightning cage that you see over here, that we saw over there, is a fluctuating current.
Yes.
And that is
2 more 3 deaths.
And the knot going crazy, getting it just in time. A little bit of recovery needing to go into this very quickly.
They're going to need to slow this down quite a little bit just in order to recover, get everybody up.
The good news is they have a moment to do that. The most dangerous mechanic has another 25 seconds before it spawns. Fluctuating current, which we were talking about a second ago, is that lightning cage mechanic, and you can only hold it for 15 seconds before it becomes a one-shot, and it ramps up significantly in damage. So as you get to the end of that duration, it's ticking for 18, 20K per tick.
Somebody down. Zorn's still at 67%. We're definitely going to see it again.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We're definitely going to see at least one more. It's spawning now. Yep. On the healer, and here we get to see it firsthand. So this is going to be rotated ideally between 5 players.
Yeah.
And another chain lightning, which we talked about very briefly. That mechanic is a one-shot if it is unblocked, and it's a 3-second channel. So you got to stay. Oh, that current's jumping through. Ooh. That current is jumping through the group. Yeah. They're going to have more deaths to that later on, especially because Zorn is only at 55% now.
Wow.
They still have 1 death. They're going to need to put some damage on Zorn. The good news is fluctuating current spawns every other mirror. So they have another 30 seconds until they have to deal with it again. They can get the res maybe at some point. It looks like somebody's trying to get it, but it's so hard to get reses in this fight because of chain lightning.
Because of chain lightning.
If you don't block or shield chain lightning, you are dead. No ifs, ands, or buts.
There he goes. He's up now.
Yep.
They look like they're going to. This is a don't cross the streams mechanic. You really don't want to overlap these.
And the group handling it with the straight line stack. We've seen the Genesis popularized the 2 arc stacks, one on entrance, one on exit. And I'm mostly a fan of that strat, but this line strat does work out very well too when it's done.
I think it was fluctuating current on the other healer.
Yep. And that'll likely be traded off very shortly. Here's Zorn rounding around 30 mil, 25% as the next mirror mechanic comes out. And at some point, somebody's just going to die with fluctuating current. And we see a cross and a great last-minute adjustment from Zanchi there, staying out of it. And you'll notice that when he did that, he did a perfect job of making sure to move along his line so that he didn't move his and get somebody else killed while he adjusted.
Death. Yes, that's the kind of thing where I was talking about don't cross the streams, and he did a really good job of recognizing that danger and moving out of the way.
Very much.
We have another death. I'm pretty sure they're not going to.
They're just going to leave him dead at this point.
They're just going to fight through this.
We're at 12 mil with 22 vitality. Lines go out for what is hopefully the last time. It seems like fluctuating current. They have somewhat been reset. And look at that little pocket that he found right there. Just the tiniest pocket.
That was good.
2 more dead, though. 5 mil left on the boss.
No.
The not fracturing in 28 seconds. Is that a tank? No, the tanks are still up. The support's still up.
2%, 2.2.
They barely have enough people to move the knot. They got to kill this boss right now.
Right
Zoran,
now. They have to get
500K.
it. Oh, they got it.
And they
There
got
it
to
goes.
go. They got to move.
Now
This
they have
knot
to
has
move the
15
knot.
seconds to fracture.
They're
Got
gonna
to
get it out
deposit
of
it to
there.
finish the trial. They're moving like snails. Come on. Get it in. There it is. With a final score, what is this going to amount to? A 238.
That was a good run. A good run. There was a lot of challenges in here. A 22 out of 36 vitality. A lot of challenges they were able to get through. I got to give it up for the perseverance of that team. They were able to kind of handle it, not wipe, get through it. Good job by that. Good job by the NA team.
As we talked about earlier, you usually get the opportunity to reset when you're trying to do this content
absolutely.
at this level of difficulty especially. But what truly shows to me the mastery of content is for everything to fall apart and for the group to be able to pick it up, recover, and continue.
Exactly. And know their priorities. Okay, we definitely have to get the tank up. We definitely have to get the DPS up. Absolutely.
And I mean, for a minute there, the tank handling 2 H-rows and 2 mini bosses, absolutely phenomenal place to keep the group into it. I mean, great work from the support, great work from everybody all around.
Absolutely, absolutely. So congratulations to the NA team, and then I guess we're gonna get started with the Europeans.
Yeah, we have another team that is going to be on PCEU. This is Wildheart. We should go ahead and bring up their roster, check out who is in their group, and yeah, again, congratulations to the Apes. They did a really
it was a phenomenal
solid
job.
Great run.
A lot of
job.
challenges in that they were able to handle. We're gonna bring up.
So yeah, let's go ahead and bring up the roster for Wildheart. This is our team on PCEU.
There we are.
They are on standby, and yeah, there's definitely some names here that I'm sure some folks recognize.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. For those of you that know that have been involved in the raiding community in ESO, some of these names are going to be very familiar.
Most of these names.
Most of these names are going to be very familiar.
For sure. And it's a great team. It's a great roster. We're excited to see what they do.
Yep.
We get to look at a DPS POV this time, and that's going to be really entertaining to watch.
awesome. Well, let's go ahead and hop over to their gameplay. I think they are ready to roll. Yeah. There they are.
They are.
Already.
They are there. They're selling. I'm just kidding.
Do you remember the score?
238-911.
I'm gonna forget.
I don't know where he's going.
It looks like they got split instances. He's going to the correct instance, it looks like.
I got you. Oh,
You know, one thing worth mentioning, too, for anybody watching that maybe is a little bit newer to ESO's trials, the screen that you saw in the last run, there were a lot of add-ons running there. Like, there was a lot of information being thrown around. And as you were saying, Finn, like, these are folks that are doing these runs time and time and time again. Like, they know exactly what they're doing.
Sure.
But for somebody who maybe is a little bit newer to trials, if you want to dip your toes in and get your feet wet, we have group finders that you can kind of hop in. We have lots of guilds that are geared towards helping people who maybe aren't as familiar with the mechanics just check it out.
And I mean, it's funny you mentioned add-ons because we talk about the lack of everything that we see on the screen right now with this UI. This is a really interesting UI that we're looking at. But, I mean, it's really clean. We can see everything really well. Makes me feel at home on console.
There you go.
Now, you play on Xbox and also on PC, but mostly on Xbox, right?
Mostly on Xbox, yeah. Most of what I've done has been on Xbox.
Now, do you have a guild that you've played with for a long time, or do you kind of have like a usual group of folks?
Yeah, the main one that I've led for forever, we changed our name when Sanity's Edge came out because we loved the mechanic named Mental Barrier.
There you go.
So we call ourselves Mental Barrier, and we've been running with that group for, gosh, the last 5 years, man. And I mean, obviously rosters, they change here and there, but it's been myself, the tank, and the 2 healers have been the same 4 support since that team started for the last 5 years, which is unheard of, but it's been a lot of fun.
There we go.
Now, do you have any advice for somebody who's looking to maybe level up, no pun intended, I guess, but level up their gaming? If, let's say, they've been going through trials kind of casually, but they want to start getting a little bit more aggressive about it.
Oh, man. There are a lot of things you can do, and the best thing that you can do is just try to start asking as many people as many questions as you can. There are so many great resources out there between Skinny's Discord, between Wildheart, between all of the...
Here in the EU, there's several EU progression guilds and guilds that have from start to finish. You know, they have beginning runs all the way up to progression. A lot of really, really strong guilds that you can jump into, and they're very welcoming for new players. And
very much.
It kind of blows my mind, too, to watch. I mean, you're familiar with the trial in one end, like from designing it, but I mean, you know everything that is going on. Like, everything.
And you know, even from my perspective, is we may know the what we put in here and the mechanics and stuff like that, but seeing how players tackle things and the strategies they come up with in order to get through the roadblocks that have been put together by the team and stuff, that's always fascinating for us and just one of the fun parts of the job that we have. There we go.
There we go. We are into the trial, ready to roll.
I think we're going to disqualify them, but there they go.
Here they go. The first base spot back. You can see some slight differences. They have a little bit of different makeup here. Different comp than the NA team. They are. This is a highly efficient team. We've actually seen some preview runs from this group. They are very well optimized. I'll put it that way.
Very much so. I mean, their raid comp, when I got a chance to look at this thing for the first time, is maybe one of the most creative and smartest raid comps I've seen for Lucent Citadel.
And did some things that you weren't expecting.
Oh, absolutely. It's really interesting. So a really common strategy for Lucent Citadel is to just stack as many Arcanists as you can. It's really helpful for the first boss because they have passive penetration and critical damage. It's really helpful for the final boss because of their reach, especially during the mirror mechanic. But this group has opted to include a DK and 2 Crow damage dealers. Only, I think that puts them at 5 Arc DDs in total. They have a DK and Sork tank like the last group, and then a Crow and Warden healer. So they have lots of sources of major vuln, which means that they won't have to source it through sets like the previous group. And I mean, their first boss comp is really interesting as well. They incorporate...
What we were talking about, yes, they incorporate that stuff, and we're also we talked a little bit about scores and stuff like that. There's a very real possibility that this group is going to beat the top score in the world.
There's a very real chance
in this particular run.
It could happen.
It could happen. No pressure.
No pressure.
It could happen. A world record for this kind of stuff. At QuakeCon would be quite monumental.
It would be unbelievable because I mean, you take into the fact that they have one run in a high pressure, high stakes environment. The chances of a world record, even though this group could very easily do it, is pretty low for one run that we're looking at. But for example, as we mentioned earlier, the world record currently is a 262, which is 20 minutes and 49 seconds. This group was not more than 30 seconds away from that with 2 or 3 deaths. So I mean, they were very close. With that, we get to see start on the Ziliaset side again. Yep, and we got a cool little add-on the top left there that tells us the boss percentages. I was kind of wondering how we were going to tell. There are the health bars down there. This UI is just blowing my mind.
It's
Everything
very,
it's very clean.
Minimal, and it's very clean. It keeps the center of the screen very open as contrast to kind of what you saw with the last group running.
Very much. And what we're watching right now is the Alkosh DD POV.
Yeah. Rylaz is a little bit faster, I think, than Ziliset now.
Yeah, the percentages are...
Oh, no, Ziliset's...
yeah, Zilly looks like he's a little ahead, and the discrepancy's growing a bit, which, I mean, this group is very likely going to two-phase. So the damage that we're seeing on Ziliaset is just going to be replicated on the other side, and it should even out. Hopefully. They're kind of flying. They haven't even done the first swap phase, and this boss is already at 40%.
At 38.
Next mini-spawning now is Annihilation spawns.
Yep.
The far exit pad that the group will have to go to, trying to dot it up.
They're really pushing to get a lot of damage before this Annihilation phase comes out.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. That boss is at 35% that we see now, 25% on Ziliaset. There's that meteor mechanic.
They are absolutely flying through here. It's a 7% difference. They're going to really need to pick it up on Rylaz.
And Rylaz is catching up slowly but surely. They might be intentionally stopping or slowing damage on Ziliaset, but this should work out for the most part. We have a 10-second window to kill these bosses in, and with a group that's pushing this much damage,
it's not going to be a problem.
It's not going to be totally fine.
Here. You're going to see Ziliaset die here, and Rylaz very shortly after.
10-second countdown started about there, and there it is, through the first boss. Just as easy as it started. Now we can already get an idea of how quick this team is moving.
Absolutely.
The first team that we had watched earlier, their second annihilation phase was just beginning as they were finishing the bosses.
Yeah.
It hadn't even spawned there. They're flying, and I mean flying through this trial.
Yeah. This is what practice does for you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even something as small as what we saw him do there,
Yeah.
he moved to the right to hit the edge, which let him go a little bit further off so he didn't have to hit all the platforms going below him. It's just these small things that can save seconds
and this is what
here and
This
there.
is what I talked about earlier when I talked about time is a very important factor, and those seconds, those half seconds, those all add up to a better, faster run.
For sure. This is one of those more dangerous pulls that we talked about earlier, especially with the Necrotic, which we actually see the DK chaining right now. The damage dealer acting as a little bit of a hybrid tank, trying to get some of these Necrotics off the board, making full use of the new scribing system and of all the skill styles too with these setups.
For sure.
The Shattering Knife that we see on his bar currently can be really, really strong. It has a script that increases the chance to apply status effects by 100%, which is really, really strong for the sake of damage dealing. There's another script for the same ability that increases martial damage done, which in this trial especially, most groups are using the set Azurblight Reaper, and that set is really strong for AoE damage. And the knife that does that script is going to increase the damage of that set even further, so they're going to make sure that they have that in their raid comp.
One thing with this UI we're at a little loss of is don't really see the group makeup and their group windows.
Yeah, I don't see it at all.
I mean, for DD doesn't really need to know, right? So I guess, but
it's true. I wonder what's going to happen if we see a death, though. I wonder how that's going to be communicated with this UI. I mean, I guess if you're parsing, just parse, don't res.
Right. What do you?
That's Maddie's favorite term, parse monkey.
Yep. And if you die, then that's your fault.
Yeah, you stay there.
Blame the healer.
That's right. We're getting a pre-dot now on the mini boss spawn. They'll try to get this pretty low to start, already at 96% on the pre-dot. For some context, the current world record, maybe it was the first Unstoppable that I saw from Genesis, one of the best teams to play the game. They got that first section to 97, 98%. And they're already a little bit ahead of that to give you some context as to the damage that we're looking at.
Really flying through these encounters. And again, we've seen them the last couple of days. They've been really hammering this, practicing, getting their strategies down, getting their rotations, and really optimizing this run. So in preparation for this competition.
Gosh, and speaking of optimization, they're looking at a potential 1 phase here.
Wow.
The last group that we saw 2 phase, and it looks like they will be just shy of it. The mini boss had 18%, maybe just another 10 seconds, and they would have 1 phase that mini boss. Absolutely incredible damage that we're seeing early on from this group.
Unbelievable. But the Wisp is coming up next. So, there's always a chance for a death on the Wisp. I don't think this group's going to do that, but
there's always a chance.
There's always a chance.
And as we're seeing from this player now, one of the things that I like to do with this mechanic is what they're doing. Use both of the abilities that you have.
Yes.
Rest at this pad for just a second, regen your stam, and then just shoot all the way back up using your abilities when they're off cooldown again. And that's usually a pretty consistent way to do this mechanic,
So for those that don't know, during that mechanic, your stamina is draining quite a bit. You have 2 abilities, one that'll stop your stamina loss, one that'll move you a little bit faster, and there's little pads that you can go through in order to replenish that stamina. We saw this is a good contrast from the previous group. They're just grouping up here, make sure everybody's
they're already moving faster straight through the pole.
Yeah. You can see those, those
polished, man. They're the skeleton AoEs that we had discussed a bit earlier. Yeah, they're going to melt. We're seeing them being chained away from where the Radiants are going to be stacked as well, so that, again, when those Radiants go down, they don't get invuln. But watch as the Radiants begin respawning these skeletons. Those 2 are going to be a little bit close. They got to kill that Radiant before he does it again.
Yes.
And they got it.
They absolutely got him.
A little bit of time to spare you.
Down, yeah.
Oh, a little bit of bad luck, and that ad is invuln, chained out immediately. They'll lose a couple of seconds there, which was saved by jumping off the platform like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, there we go. The little things that matter.
And here's this last trash pull that we didn't get, base pop pull that we didn't get time to talk about earlier. Those 2 firestorms in the very back.
Yeah.
And they do get brought in and stacked very quickly and cleanly.
That was good. That was
Look at this Radiant, too. It's going to get nuked before it even does its invuln mechanic. That's the type of damage that we love to see from this group. The other Radiant's going to get brought in while they deal with this Firestorm. They might just run to it even, and they are. They're going to run and just meet it in the middle. They saved a solid 15 seconds easily off of that
lot
alone.
of time saved there.
That positioning with the ult dumps and with the spammables to make sure that that Radiant was taking damage.
I am really excited to see this second boss. The second boss can throw a lot of wrenches into your plans if you can't handle the ads that are coming up. So I'm really excited to see what they can do here.
I was getting to talk to Charles about this actually, and their trick up their sleeve for this boss is actually Earthgore on a healer, which is a set that we haven't really seen run in content very much for years. But they decided that they wanted to run it here, and he believes that it made quite the difference in consistently being able to no-death this boss. Shield throw splitting the room.
Nice. What's old is new again.
What's old is new. That's right. It's always fun to see those things.
Now you're going to see, in contrast to the previous group, they're going to burn these down, and you saw that slight DPS loss when they started the boss phase, and they're going to. I don't think that you're going to see that from this group. I think they're going to get some raw damage pretty quick on this boss.
Definitely, they're already at their mirrors, getting ready to pre-flip it. Interesting. Huh? I've never seen the group flip it to kill the Sentinel before the Runok, but I'm really interested to see where that goes because they're going to have to flip the mirrors one more time now for the Runok, and maybe that will what that will do is it'll just standardize who hits them at the beginning because normally at the beginning of the fight, especially in a group doing this much damage, the first 10% is pushed so fast that you need to have different groups of people hit the mirror even at the beginning of the fight, and that might get a little confusing because having to hit a mirror at the beginning of the fight but then a different one as the fight continues can just lead to some communication errors, so that could potentially be what they did to solve that. This boss just already nearly to the first mirror phase at 91%. They'll get a little bit of an overburn here too, locked in the kite mechanic, getting it to 86, 85% as the first mirror mechanic comes out. Some great overburn, all the mirrors hit. Sentinel spawning, shield throw coming out right now.
Nice.
Nobody hit by it, perfectly executed. Mirrors 3 and 7 spawning on the left and right.
Well done.
Mirrors are up, it's hit immediately, boss is damageable, and watch those health bars melt.
Just melt.
And look at Zorn being held in group here somewhat too. The off-tank doing a good job to keep Zorn, and the off-tank streaking away to Zorn's port position to keep the cone faced out of group too.
Yeah.
Really interesting strategies here from the OT. And only 5% away already from the next mirror mechanic. The DD's doing a good job to avoid that cone, kite the AoEs away so that they still have a place to stand for the most part.
Here we go.
And boss porting into the middle now, 59%. Smaller overburn, but we're going to get our last 2 mirror spawns in addition to the Runok during this phase. There's the Runok on entrance. It could hit a damage dealer as it's coming in. It's hyper tanking. It had no chance.
It had no chance.
Immediately in the group.
I had it right away.
59% now as the mirrors get flipped. And
for non-optimized groups, this is kind of a danger here with the Runok in the middle of the group because once those tornadoes start spinning around, people start melting a little bit when you're close to them.
Oh yeah, and a lot of people like to play a little bit close up to the Runok as well, and if it decides to do its whirlwind dash, then that's going to catch you off guard, and that's just as deadly as a shield throw. It'll kill you.
They are back to shield phase again.
Already, they'll get a Fate Sealer. That last mirror taking a little bit to get hit, but it does get hit. And it looks like they are throwing some barriers as well. I love throwing barriers before and after mirror phases. It makes dealing with the dot drain a lot easier. There's that Fate Sealer up in the top right of the room with the Sentinel. And the boss enrages.
No problem.
Shield throw. It means that this slam is going to hurt. They got to make sure to at least dodge or maybe back up out of this. Ooh, taking a lot of damage. There's that Earthgore, though. We saw the POV that we're looking at get down to 10k HP and shoot back up. I can't tell. With this UI.
Yeah, I can't tell either.
I don't think so. It looks like
Vitality bonus.
Vitality bonus decrease, you're right. There was a death. There was a death exactly to the enraged slam that we were talking about earlier.
They had a death.
So that brings them, we think that's the first one. We might be guessing on the score a little bit by the end of it, but that's one death it looks like, bringing them down to 35 as far as we can tell in the moment here. You think there's been 2 deaths?
Quite possibly, but we'll take a look here.
Hopefully, we'll be able to see pretty clearly at the end of the run here.
So he's dropped, and now you're going to see the Arcane Knot. Now again, to reiterate, for those of you watching at home or even here, this is a very optimized group. to say the least. So don't expect to kind of walk in here and be able to kind of handle these things right off the bat. But this is also a good highlight for what practice gets you.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people, I don't think, recognize that doing damage like this in this game, there's a skill element to it for sure, but the number one factor to being able to do this is just getting reps. Anybody can do this with enough reps.
Yeah. Practice. It's all practice.
For sure. Those crystals getting absolutely nuked as they move into the next room now, going to try to skip the tether. Unlike the NA team that we saw earlier, get some good cleave on that crystal. Dario Lemon's throwing out the tether now. They got to kill it before it finishes landing, and it looks like they're just going to let the tether go out completely, let him jump into the group and do a little bit more of a dangerous but a burn strat variation of this, where they mainly focus the crystals, and they are on straight to the next room because of it.
Unbelievable.
A phenomenal burst there.
Phenomenal.
You got
phenomenal? Yeah. I can't even speak. That was so good. It was phenomenal.
You got to think, too, you have 10 seconds to knock 5 mil HP off of each of those crystals, which is just such a good amount of damage done in such a short period of time. And the way that they executed getting to get the mini to not only jump right when their first crystal died, but getting it to jump on top of the other crystal that they were going to want to damage, that is just mechanical knowledge.
That just highlights that push to get to optimize that DPS.
Absolutely. We got one of those crystal Astros. We got two of them up. One of them about to go down as Baron goes down as well. And they are flying 30 seconds ahead of where we saw the NA group earlier, trying to get everybody in the knot. Something's going on here. Waiting for the tanks to catch up, it looks like. Waiting for everybody to get through. Having to roll through these hallways. These beams will cook you if you don't roll, but for players repped out, shouldn't pose a problem. Not too much longer left before this knot's going to fracture. It looks like about 15 seconds as they get to this roaming crystal at the top. And we're going to see the other strat for dealing with the necromancers here.
Absolutely.
Just the burn variation of it. And what you're going to see is this group's going to wait up here for the first necrotic rain that comes out. And then after that happens, they're going to run all the way downstairs and meet the tank and healer down there with a stack. That leaves you much less time to kill the necromancers, but it's a lot faster to get it done.
Sure. And seeing these two groups side by side is a really good highlight on dangerous, risky strats versus some safe strats, and the inherent danger of both of those.
For sure.
Sacrifice time, get a little bit safer, or really, really push and risk those deaths.
Yeah, and we're going to see if those risks make a difference now. As they're moving over to the necromancers, we see a nice and clean stack of all of them. They're going to try to nuke them before the second set of rain comes out. Watch those health bars get deleted. There were millions of HP on each of those. Not anymore. Moving on to the crystals now. Remember, all three of these crystals have to be killed within 10 seconds of each other. So they're going to get this center one low, but not kill it. And then they're going to go kill the other two, come back and finish the one in the center.
Yep.
It's interesting to see, too. We talked about the raid comp a little bit earlier. The Arcanists, another huge benefit to using Arcanists on this fight is their shield. Their shield's spammable for chain lightning and for fluctuating current, which is why when we're looking at this DK bar setup, we see a damage dealer with both hardened armor and contingency on, right? To survive chain lightning and to survive fluctuating current, especially safely and consistently, making some of those sacrifices become super worthwhile. 10 seconds until the knot fracture now. We'll see if they'll make it into the room before that happens. They're definitely going to try. The AoE popping up right about now, and it looks like he's going to wait to fracture. They'll lose a little bit of time here, but probably safer and more worthwhile.
Barely getting out of that fracture.
Throwing a little last-minute roll dodge just to make sure.
For sure. So now the NA team we saw here, they did a very dangerous strategy of stacking the Crystal Atros plus the double mini bosses on a tank. It didn't quite work out. It was a little bit too risky for him.
Oh my gosh. There are 3 Atros up. And the mini bosses all in the entrance crystal. We're seeing it again, but with 3 Atros. This tank is a monster. That is unbelievable. I mean, good burst for the group to get those Atros off the board, but I mean, the tank having to hold 3 Atros there for that long is unbelievable. And
I play a tank, and I can't do that. I can't do that.
They're ignoring the mini bosses too right now, and they're focusing the crystals first. Look, those minis are still up on the other side. They're going to kill the crystals and then bring the minis. That's insane. That's an insane amount of time that they're going to save. And they did it so cleanly and flawlessly through it.
It's almost like they've practiced this.
It's like they've done it once or twice.
There you go, the second crystal going down.
They're going to keep
handling of that.
They'll play it safe. They'll do the mirror mechanic, another death, but they'll leave him down.
Hard is going to pull away with this and win this one.
And the one might have happened.
So we are going to be doing a giveaway for an ESO Noble Chair in Twitch.
I got filled with something. What do you have on this new crafting system?
Why?
Why?
Well, as John said earlier, it's about getting a little bit less of the RNG system that we spend time going to events. We spend time doing crafting to try to get these legendary weapons. And again, it's a lot of RNG in that system inherently. So this will allow players to not only acquire those the same way they acquired them before, but be able to now scrap those weapons in an effort to either get a loose mod or learn the recipe for that legendary effect, and then to be able to apply it to the other weapons that they've acquired along the way.
Yeah. So like kind of right now, what you're seeing on screen is somebody attaching a new mod to their 3-star weapon, right?
Correct. And each of these mods has a different set of I guess requirements for it. So it won't just be script, it won't just be legendary mods. There are other effects on there that require some bobbleheads and things like that. So we're actually mixing it up quite a bit to make more use of some of those items in the game that people have been hoarding for a long time, but also make them more available to players as we go forward too.
Yeah. So John, Bill said it's about making sure that players' items that they've collected for a long time have use beyond just kind of what their initial plan was. Could you speak a little bit more to that?
Sure, yeah. So now players can scrap their legendary weapons, armor, and power armor, right? So I know a lot of players will kind of sit on huge stacks of those for a while because they've already hit their script limit. However, now you're incentivized to scrap those because every time you scrap one of those pieces of gear, you have a really small chance to learn how to make one of the legendary mods on that weapon. So whichever one of you learns how to craft the bloodied mod first, it's like you're going to be swimming in caps, I'm sure. But that's another beautiful thing about this system is it sort of opens up a whole new economy for players too. And the players can sell or they can trade mods to other players. And it also opens up the possibility of, in future seasons or even in various events in the game, for players to earn specific mods to those events, which is really cool. We've never been able to do that before. So super excited about this system.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot about kind of giving the control to the players to kind of make sure that they're able to craft their own kind of play experience the way that they want to. Ken, have you dove into crafting much?
I have a little bit, and I love the new system, but I have to ask, what about Mama Murmurmerg? What are we going to do with her? We go and we buy her beautiful little gift boxes, and is she going to retire?
Absolutely not. She's a very savvy business mole person, mole miner.
Mole miner.
And will adapt to where the market goes.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, so like legendary crafting, again, kind of like giving you the opportunity to control your weapons, the way that they operate, hopefully explore some new builds, and even maybe make a few caps along the way, right?
Yeah, I think you can make a lot of caps. Like I said, whoever gets bloodied first, thumbs up to you.
The race will be on very, very soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. All right, so let's kind of move on to our next topic here. We have combat rebalance. Now, I hinted at this a little bit earlier, that it started off in Skyline Valley, but it continues now in Milepost Zero. So kind of either Bill, John, one of you, tell us, where did this desire for combat rebalance kind of take place?
I mean, honestly, this is something that we've been wanting to do for a really long time. You know, ever since the launch of the game, you know, we've had perks and mutations. Now there's legendary perks, and there's more legendary mods, you know, for the weapons. We have weapons that have special effects on their own. It needs a balance. Like we need to go back through all of that and make sure that we've got good balance between all the weapons that are being delivered. And also for a lot of the new players that have been coming in, a lot of the curves for a lot of our creatures within the world, cave crickets, for example. If you're, you know, below 50 and you run into one, you're dead.
I hate cave crickets.
Those cave crickets are opportunistic punks.
Punks is the word that we're going with.
Yeah, so we've gone through and actually adjusted all of the creatures to be a much more smoother leveling experience, especially for a lot of our newer players. And when we talk about rebalance, yes, some people kind of take that as more like we're nerfing certain things. We don't want to do that at all. That is not the goal of this at all. We believe that players in our game have a power fantasy that they like to engage in, go around, get the best stuff, kill a lot of crap.
Yeah.
And we don't want to touch that at all. So John can tell you, and even our system designers can tell you, that anytime someone even approaches the idea of like, I want to nerf this, it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, we have a type of game that people like to engage with, and that's what we're sticking with. So a lot of this is really fixing just underlying elements that we feel are just broken, that we want to try to fix. So, and I think we've done that pretty successfully, especially with a lot of the curve table work we've done recently.
Something a lot of our PTS players have noticed, of course, is with the combat rebalancing and the damage over time rebalancing, is that combat's become a bit more kind of snappy, and you have much more visibility on what's going on when things are taking damage over time. So again, going back to legendary crafting, being able to be communicated to what's happening as you're fighting, I think will encourage players to experiment and try different types of builds and play styles as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also on the dot discussion, we've also made some changes to fire and poison, for example. So now fire does a lot of damage in a short period of time, and then poison does a lot of damage also, but over a longer period of time. So it's going to depend on whatever creature or whatever boss fight you're going into, but you can use that effectively now. So that there's some specialty between the effects that you decide to use on your weapons.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah, I think the community sometimes makes the mistake of thinking that you're targeting specific items or play styles without realizing that there's a long-term underlying problem that you're trying to fix.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, basically we want all of those weapons that you potentially get, all the armor that you potentially get, as well as the effects that you potentially get to be useful. We want players to use more than maybe bloodied, anti-armor, vampires, get into the other ones and make them actually more useful in the game. And that's kind of what this rebalance also tries to tackle.
Yeah, so I mean the game is really built up of dozens and dozens of really complicated systems that are dependent on one another. And so as we are restructuring the combat rebalance, or the combat values, there are some things that'll get by, and we'll see those as people play the game that seem a bit too overpowered. The goal is never to nerf for the sake of nerfing. Really, the last thing we want to do is nerf something. What the preference is would be finding or underlining alternate play styles. For instance, bloodied builds. A lot of people use bloodied builds, and there seems to be kind of a love-hate yeah, me too. And there's kind of a love-hate relationship with that amongst other players, right? We're not going to nerf bloodied builds, but we will introduce other ways to play the game that should be just as competitive, so players have more of a choice.
Yeah. So it's about kind of raising things up, right? So that, again, players have choice in the way that they want to approach any specific situation or kind of gameplay.
Players love having options. They don't like being told how to play. They want to find that out for themselves. Yeah. Am I right? Is that right?
Yes.
Awesome. Now, I have something in mind that is a topic that has been brought up to me on Reddit a whole lot. Gauss shotguns and Gauss damage. Now, I bring this up because I actually wanted to let people know that I hear you, and I talk to the team about this pretty frequently, but also because the PTS just received an update today which increased the damage that Gauss shotguns do. So we hear you, and we're listening, and we're adapting and trying to make sure that the game is as fun as possible for as many people. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, Bill, you mentioned dot damage and changes to fire and poison so that they feel like the way that people think that they should feel. We've mentioned the monster and creature resistances to kind of target more not solely the new player, but to make sure that when somebody jumps into Fallout 76 for the first time, they're having the experience that we desire them to have.
Yeah, it's the whole user experience.
Yeah.
It's anybody coming in at level 2 or level 20, whatever they decide coming out of the vault, they're going to have an experience that feels nice, natural, and progressive, as it goes up. We saw along the way, again, there would be times where you would be 20, 25, and then all of a sudden hit this wall. You're just like, I can't do anything, and that's not what we want.
Right.
You know, we want that to be a lot smoother on the ramp up. So.
I love that. I love that so much. So I want to talk about the V63 carbine and the new overheating mechanic coming in Milepost Zero. John, can you give us a quick rundown?
I think I can. So the V63 carbine has a new overheating mechanic, as Richard suggested, that the more you use it, the more it overheats, right? And so you want to kind of keep it at this sweet spot. If you go too far, then your weapon becomes kind of useless. If you don't keep it up high enough, then once again, your weapon becomes kind of useless. So it's a really cool, powerful new mechanic that we're introducing to the game. We want to see how our players make out with it and what they do.
I love that. Bill?
Yeah, and then on top of that, Theodore will actually sell you more mods for the weapon, just like any other weapon you have in the game too. So you'll be able to enhance it, make it better, add some mods to it, same way.
I love that. I love that so much. All right, let's head on over to our next topic. Next up, we have the best builds, and we do have a video for this too. What is best builds?
So the majority of our players are avid builders. Is that right, Ken?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Huge builders.
So Best Builds is a great push forward to support our builders. If you're in the game and you've got an awesome camp and you're like, I want the world to see, you can submit it as a best build. So you provide your picture, you provide your description, and then in the game on the mini-map, it's marked as a best build. So players that go to your best build camp will know it's a best build. And when they're there, if they think it's awesome, they can give you a good old-fashioned thumbs up. And the best build camps that get the most thumbs up get featured on various servers across Appalachia.
I just had a question that popped into my head. Hey, well, one, this system is amazing because there are loads of ridiculously talented builders. So for people to actually be able to see their camps in game is awesome. If it's built on PlayStation or Xbox, would PC people see it? Is it cross-platform as a build, or is it only tied to that platform that you're playing on?
I think it's only tied to the platform you're on.
Ah, okay.
That's a good question, though.
It just occurred to me. I was like, would we be able to see something that's someone built on Xbox? Or okay.
Yeah. What I will say, though, is the technology that's built on, though, is built to be expandable.
Mhm.
So there will potentially be opportunity to make sure that that's available, in the future. But as you can see, like right here, you're able to go in, set it up as a best build. You're able to add tags to it, so there'll be like holiday tags. There's a list of 30 or 40 tags in there that you can assign to your best build. And then when it goes up, it'll start to gather likes, and as it gathers likes, it'll be serviced across all the other servers. So again, content creators and people who build a lot of camps like Ken, you go to the camp, you like it, and then his work will be able to be visible by hundreds of thousands of other people playing that day on a different server. So
you said the word expandable, right? And I think that's also kind of core to a lot of the systems that are introduced in Fallout 76. You're always thinking about how does it play now, what's its purpose now, but also you're thinking towards the future of like, how can we build this so that it reaches as many players as we want, kind of like just later on. Yeah.
And one of those is too, for example, we have that monthly camp contest, that goes out. Right now in the game, there's no connection between the camp contest and the game.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't just put that in. And we would like to do that. That's the whole goal of this, is to try to get the visibility of the people who are being viewed on the camp contest and the winners of those camp contests to also be able to kind of have that replicated in the game to where the people can see those too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, so best builds coming in Milepost Zero. An awesome and great way for players to not only show their love for the camps that inspire them, but also for us to kind of take a moment and acknowledge the community members' camps. Yeah. And I guess speaking of camps, and I know that we have our camp showcase tomorrow. There was a long competition that happened throughout the month of July and into early August, so make sure you tune in or you come here at QuakeCon to participate in that judging, which you two will also be in. I want to know, what has been the favorite camp that you've seen so far? Just kind of like in your day-to-day playing, has there been something unique that is just like back there in the recess of your mind?
I mean, going through the game, we see a ton of amazing camps. I've seen the Millennium Falcon. I've seen the Fallout Shelter. cutout,
Yeah.
which is probably my favorite. Just walking by, I was like, what is, oh, that's Fallout Shelter.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You know, it's like a dollhouse. It was really, really cool. So, yeah, that's probably one of my favorite just creative camps that I've ever seen.
Yeah. John?
I think it goes without saying, Bethesda Game Studios has the absolute best community in gaming. Is that right?
Yeah!
We also have the most creative community in gaming. So I see all kinds of cool camps. I love that when I go into the game and I go to somebody's camp, they're there, they want to show it off, and they're throwing like free stuff at my feet. That's like, oh, great, I'll take that. But the camp that stands out to me the most, I would say, was I genuinely got lost in a labyrinth camp that somebody built. And I was telling myself, I'm not going to fast travel out. I'm going to figure this out. And I had to fast travel out. But it was really, really good. We've got the most creative players in our game. It's just absolutely amazing.
I love the idea of visiting somebody's camp and just being completely lost in it. That is amazing. Ken, what have you seen?
Someone built, it was in year 1, and they built an actual castle with like a drawbridge and everything. It was Castle Grayskull.
Come on.
And I was like, yes. That was awesome. There's been some really crazy creative camps. Something that I got the idea from somebody else. I've been working on a BioShock camp forever.
I love that.
So you can take the shelters and create one door to the other and tell a linear story, drawing people through. There are people who've used those to create games where you have a scavenger hunt inside, where you have to find numbers and specific things, and it's crazy what people build.
It is absolutely insane. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what builds end up on Best Builds when this update comes out pretty soon. All right, so that kind of covers all of the major topics that I wanted to talk about for now. And Ken, I know you have.
I got some questions.
You have a strong list of questions, so I think it's time for me to sit back and kind of let you take over.
Yeah, thank you. One thing I forgot to do earlier is talk briefly about Follow for Hope. So we're a group of some 750 of us in 87 countries around the world. It is a community of Bethesda gamers, plays ZeniMax games, Bethesda titles, Fallout, of course, and we raise money for a number of charities throughout the year. $656,000 raised since 2020. That is the power of this community. An amazing, astounding amount of money making change. November 14th, we kick off for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital to help some kids that are really struggling with life-threatening diseases. Yeah, so if you want to get involved in that, falloutforhope.com/join.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, let me take a moment just to say the work that you and the rest of the Fallout for Hope team does is so inspiring, and we love the fact that we're able to work with you in situations like this, make sure that everybody knows the amazing stuff that is actually going on there.
I could not do it without the people. Our staff is amazing. Shout out to Pedernales Falls. Where is she? You stand up, girl. Pedernales Falls, Executive Director of Fallout for Hope. She is our Discord mama. I could not do this without her. We love you.
Thank you. All right, so yeah, let's kick it off. It's time for the Q&A portion.
Yeah, so thanks to the Fallout 76 subreddit community, I wanted to ask as many diverse questions as possible for you guys, representing the interests of as many people as possible. So first of all, Fallout 76 today is way different than what we launched with. The community is also really diverse. I mean, you've got camp builders, storytellers, role-play groups. How hard is it to try and thread the needle in terms of what you're working on to satisfy a little bit of everybody?
I don't really look at it as having to thread a needle to satisfy various groups. It's really cool. Our community's made up of builders, love to build their camps, and adventurers, and most of them kind of overlap. So really what the focus is as we sort of brainstorm new content, release new content, is how can we continue to tell the story of the main character in the game, which to us has always been Appalachia. People love playing in our Appalachia and influencing our Appalachia with their own stories and experiencing Appalachia's stories. So that's really the focus of it. By happenstance, it happens to satisfy the builders and the adventurers alike. We certainly take that into consideration, but we don't outwardly start in that direction. Which group do we want to satisfy? It's really about continuing the story. Everybody loves a good story, and Fallout has the best stories.
Agreed. The Fallout TV show, unqualified success. So you had like 6 to 7 times the amount of players coming back to Fallout, and especially trying Fallout 76 for the first time. Did the success of the TV show and the influx of people change any of your ideas or timetables or priorities this year?
I wouldn't say so. You know what was really cool about the show was how accurately they captured the spirit and the tone of Fallout. So as far as like having to specifically cater to something in the show for future content, we didn't really have to do that because we were already in lockstep. You know, everything that they've done fits tonally with what we've got planned for the future. We also have the benefit of, 76 is in West Virginia, and it's a lot earlier than the show, which takes place on the West Coast, so there's a lot less space for stepping on one another's toes lore-wise. So if anything, I'd say the show really emboldened us to continue doing what we're doing. And people that have seen that show and experienced that awesome story who maybe haven't played Fallout before, like, well, where can I get more of this? Well, hey, 76. 76 is live, Fallout 4, Fallout 3, hop in. We've got plenty more of that. And so we did see a big influx of players, and they were just looking for more of that Fallout experience.
Man, the energy of that first week of new people coming out, you had people building camps to welcome people to the Wasteland. That was awesome.
Yeah, I think that was one of my favorite camps to see coming out of the vault. Like, I would start new characters all the time, and it's always fun, but there were a few camp builders, which we know personally, that built a huge camp out in front that said, welcome new players. And that was one of the most amazing things I've seen. You know, it's just the interaction with the community. And like I said, I create characters all the time. I come out of the vault, and all of a sudden there's someone there going, hey, follow me. And it's like, okay, excellent. And then you get 120 stim packs and a whole bunch of armor and things. And it's great to see that. It's such an amazing and welcoming community that I have not seen in any other game, to be honest.
No, best community in gaming, hands down.
Yeah, very, very true, because that first week was so special. That first week was so special, jumping in and exactly as you said.
And I think going back to the show, Ken, like, I like the fact that the show is later and we are earlier, and I like the fact that the show kind of exists on its own and they complement each other quite well, so we can enjoy those stories and those characters by themselves without having to worry about any sort of crossover in 76. I think that's really important.
Yeah, agreed. Another big question that people ask, so Starfield is a huge leap forward engine-wise, and we're coming up now in 6 years of 76. Would there ever be a possibility at some point in the future of a next-gen update or a graphics refresh?
So we've discussed, I mean, that's come up in discussions here and there over the years. I wouldn't say that there is a concrete plan to do that. What we do make a point of doing is each patch improving something, right? So we've improved the water shaders. We've improved the glass shaders. We've got a patch coming up. Lava. We've got a patch coming up soon after Milepost Zero, where we actually introduce a lot of rendering and shader upgrades. People are going to notice, be like, wow, this is cool. So we are mindful of making very measured steps, measured improvements along the way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think even with the upgrades that we've had on the consoles to run at 60 frames a second, have given us a lot of opportunity to continue to expand on that. And so sort of answering your question, yeah, there's things we are talking about, as John said, that we want to continue to make this more next gen, add some things to those platforms, to make it better.
Sweet. Going back a little bit, we talked a little bit about balancing. So 4- and 5-star legendaries, we talked about that a long time ago and then stopped. Was the reason that was maybe dropped or postponed is because of balancing issues, and it's kind of like you're throwing gasoline on a fire?
There's 3 or 4 things that kind of factor into that. One, timing. At that time, we didn't have enough systems in the game or enough events to really kind of feed into that system as well as we wanted it to. Also, the workbench UI and the flow did not work as well as we wanted it to work, so we wanted to go back to the drawing board on that. And then ultimately, we had a number of mods that we had created during that time frame that we just didn't feel were legendary enough. And so it was just kind of like we tabled it, said, hey, let's come back to this when we actually have a lot more utility in the game or a lot more events and a lot more things that we can make this system actually work into. So yeah.
So that mean we may see them down the road?
Who knows?
Who here has beaten the Scorch Beast Queen? Show your hands. All right. Who here's taken down Earl? Who's done both and lived to tell the tale? That's amazing. it sounds like you need harder challenges.
No.
And so the idea of expanding that power that players have is certainly something that we talk about every day. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
I love the stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Do you think PvP experiences still fit with where the game is evolving to now from where we started, where it was so much more of a focus?
That's a good question. I would say no, mostly based on player engagement with it. You know, Nuclear Winter was well received by a lot of people, but the engagement with Nuclear Winter was very low. And so right now I think people are still looking just for more story. Like John said, the main character of this game is the world. So they want to see more world expansion, more factions, more creatures, you know, more locations to visit, you know, things like that. That's where a majority of the players are at right now.
So what really surprised me, and I would wager probably the rest of the team too, was before we released 76, it was like, yeah, of course, it's the apocalypse. People are going to want to kill one another. They want to, you know, and it, after seeing how our players react, they're friendly to one another. They want to help. One of the most coveted items in the game is a clean toilet in the apocalypse. That's crazy. So as far as PvP goes, the impression we've gotten both from feedback and seeing how our players play is that PvP is just kind of, it's not something, it's not an itch they're looking to scratch in Fallout 76. You know, perhaps if they are, they could take over a workshop and see if anybody comes to challenge it. But outside of that, straight up PvP, it just doesn't seem to be in our players' DNA.
Play Monster Mash. Monster Mash is still great. Speaking of stories, would we ever maybe revisit older factions and pick up story threads with them before? So could we get a little bit more involved with what's going on with Crater or Foundation over time?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We talk about that frequently. How else can we continue to develop the story of Appalachia? And they all factor into that. They're all residents.
A common question, too, that comes up is about, people ask all the time about when are we going to get to a point where we can make choices that matter. And that was something that we had talked about, that you explained that really well. And I thought everyone would want to hear that.
Are you looking at me?
No, it was
or
actually
Bill.
Yeah, Bill had a great answer for that when we were talking.
You go. You want me to go? Okay. So choices that make larger, more impactful decisions. Yes. So we have noticed that, you know, if we come out with a big quest line, it's a large quest arc and it has the different choices you can make through it. A lot of these quests are so intertwined with one another that in an online environment, it makes it very hard to make those types of meaningful choices. We've discussed different types of mission formats, quest formats, which would give players the agency to make more impactful choices. So we don't have any information to share on that today, but it has been discussed, and it is something that we're going to do, absolutely.
Sweet. Are there any thoughts or plans on adding features of the game that help with social aspects of it? And I know this question comes up a lot, so text chat, factions, guilds, or other ways in which players can more readily connect with each other or build their own communities within the game ecosystem. Like right now, people meet on Discord or Reddit or Facebook groups. Is there a way to bring that interactivity into the game in a way beyond just forming a group in the game?
We have a lot of agency in the game right now, whether it's public teams, because you'll see whenever someone starts a public team, the flyout comes in, you can join that team. But also the world event, you know, map on the map that comes up, you know, you can click on that, join immediately, fast travel to the event that's happening where people are usually engaged with it. Honestly, I think sometimes it comes down to the events themselves. Like look at Fasnacht, you know, it's like everybody engages with Fasnacht, you know, and that's where a lot of people actually build their friendships when we have things like that. So I think looking at events and how we can actually grab lots of players into single events like that is really going to be helpful in the future too, and we've got some plans for those things too.
And best builds is a nice step in that direction.
I was just
too.
thinking that.
There's
yeah.
a lot of social glue to best builds, getting
softball.
People. What? Oh, thanks, Bill. There's a lot of social glue there, right? It's going to keep people visiting one another's camps, their favorite builders. So.
Yeah, hey, you know what? That's a great idea. So, you know, Discord groups or role-play groups, you know, they build something, they submit it to Best Builds. You can make a sign that says, join our Discord, and it would be promoted to a whole bunch of people. Yeah, that's something interesting. You've teased an overarching story that's slowly being built for anyone paying really close attention. Can you give a little tease on something we should pay more attention to now?
That's a good question. So Appalachia, starting at chapter 1. Let's start at chapter 1. Chapter 1, you come out of the vault, everybody's dead, right? There's no physical characters left anymore. However, there are still characters there, and they're represented by holotapes, the things they've left behind, the stories that they've left in the wasteland. So we fast forward and we get people moving in, we get the Foundation, and we get Crater. We get the Brotherhood of Steel coming in. It continues to evolve the story of the space. Skyline Valley, the most recent chapter of that, right? Who knew the Lost were there? I mean, it kind of says it in their name, they were lost. How would we have known? So, yes, there is an overarching story. Long answer, I'm going to cut it down. I would pay special attention to what's going on in the ash heap. There's something going on there.
Something going on.
Something.
In the ash heap.
In the ash heap.
Right now, the community is furiously thinking of what that is.
Yeah, people are like logging in and heading there and just looking around.
So Skyline Valley is the first time we've ever expanded the map. Is this a change in direction from expedition-style instance updates to maybe expanding Appalachia and focusing on the larger story?
Sure. So expeditions, you know, I love expeditions. I run them every week with my character, but they're a bit different than experiencing the open world map, right? An expedition is you start the expedition, you go to a specific place to do a specific thing to get a specific thing at the end, right? So those serve their purpose. I think they're lots of fun. When we expand the map, we're giving players more room to, like I said, continue to tell the story of Appalachia, continue to let players tell their own stories. They get new places to build camps, new places to explore. So it's a very different type of expansion of the playscape. So I will say we're always on the lookout for opportunities to let people do those things, experience the story of our Appalachia and tell their own stories. So future updates, much like Skyline Valley, are certainly on the table.
Camp building. Camp building is a huge part of the gaming experience, but if you've been playing since the beginning at the point like I have over 3,500 buildable items. Is there an opportunity to maybe change up that menu a bit to make it a little easier to build?
I think there's an opportunity to change that up a little bit. Like you said, at the very beginning, it was pretty manageable with 20, 30, then 40, 100 items, but now that you've got, I think we're over, like you said, 3,500 now, yeah, it becomes unmanageable. So yeah, we were going to explore giving some people some updates to that interface.
Awesome.
Hey, Ken, I think we have time for one more question.
All right, one last one then. This game has meant a lot to a core group of us, myself included, where it brought us together, marriages, friendships. A lot of this game has meant so much to a lot of people. I guess the question is, everything ends one day. And increasingly as years go on, people worry like what happens at the end. Is there, with a yes or no, is there an end plan for what happens at the end of Fallout 76?
The great thing about Bethesda Game Studios is the folks there have no shortage of awesome ideas. So long as we have people coming into Appalachia and building camps and experiencing that story, we will have content to share.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So yes, keep showing your love and appreciation for Fallout 76.
I want to say.
Oh yeah,
I want to say one more thing, Ken. We were talking about the most amazing community experiences across the game that we've experienced. One of them for me was the 5th anniversary parade. Not only because it was Fallout for Hope, but also leading into providing support and money for St. Jude, which shows that it goes beyond us. It goes beyond the game to help people, especially St. Jude specifically. But that parade was one of the coolest events I'd ever seen. We had 4 hours of going through all the different camps that people built to make it look like a parade. So many content creators, our community was there as well. And I think that just shows the beauty of what this community is made of. And it was really great to see.
I love it. I love it. I love it. The best community in gaming for sure. So now to wrap up this entire thing, we have Milepost Zero, which is coming on September 3rd, which also means for everybody who wants to prepare before the season ends, you have until September 3rd, and that's when season 17 will wrap up, because we'll be starting a whole new season with a whole new update and a whole bunch of new gameplay. So that's it for us here on stage at QuakeCon. Thank you all so much for coming here. We really appreciate it, right, guys?
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming out today.
Whoa.
Oh.
What do you mean?
Wait a minute.
What are you doing?
Well, hold on. We're not done.
What are you talking about?
We've got one more thing.
What do you mean we have one more thing, John?
So listen, we've talked about Milepost Zero, right? The update coming out soon. We know playable ghouls are returning, coming out early next year. You want me to get on with it, don't you? So what's coming in between? There's got to be something. Fellow adventurers, I want you to get those pit boys out, just like this. Get those pit boys out, because the wasteland hasn't seen anything this hot since the bombs dropped. Here's a sneak peek at the update coming out this December. The Gleaming Depths. Depths.
Hey everybody, we are back here at QuakeCon for day 2. We've got lots of great partners here. Let's go meet some of them.
One of my favorite things about QuakeCon is just the community. The gamers here are some of the most generous people you'll ever encounter. They're so fun-loving, and it's just a great event every year.
Awesome. And what's been the most popular thing in the booth?
One of the most popular things at the booth is the gaming chairs. So we just launched the Fractal Refined gaming chairs. These are going on sale now. They're available at Newegg, and we've had people sitting in them. They're kind of, it's got a gaming profile to them, but they're like ergonomic. They're super comfortable. You can sit in them for hours and hours. And yeah, that's what we're showing people, and they seem to really love it.
Everybody has been super nice. It's been very easy to work so far, and then on top of it, the arcade section is pretty dope.
Awesome, yeah. And what's been the most popular thing here in the G Fuel booth?
So we actually are partnered with QuakeCon right now, so we have a couple of flavors on hand that you can try. They're really, really, really good. We have our Quantum Punch and then our Demonade, which is my personal favorite. We do have a couple of cans that you can come and sample as well, which our most popular cans that we're going to sell are probably going to be Hype Sauce and then our Watermelon Limeade.
We've been around since 1980. We're family owned. We're in the state of Texas. We have physical stores all up and down the highways. We specialize in service, parts, hard to find things. We pretty much keep you up and running at the show. We've got, everything from components to patch cords to, keyboards, things like that. But in our stores, we've got everything.
And what's been the most popular thing here at the booth?
Patch cables, power cords, the simple things that you would think you have, you forget, but a lot of these people have been driving from states away, so we keep them up and running.
And that's a wrap on our second day of QuakeCon coverage. A huge shout out to our sponsors and charity partners. Be sure to check in tomorrow for the final day of QuakeCon 2024, where we'll see many of our tournaments face off in the final rounds and much, much more. We'll see you then.